Well, the Battlefield 6 beta is here, and we're going to be diving in later, but since we start every day with a talk show, I didn't really think that would be the best way to start the day, just me running around blowing stuff up in gameplay. So I thought we would do our sort of classic waiting room style stream where we just kind of talk and vibe, and there's lots of other things going on in gaming news as well. So we'd have an opportunity to discuss those things while we sort of wait for me to jump into the Battlefield 6 gameplay beta later today. We usually do like a 2, almost 3 hour long talk show in the mornings, and so the gameplay can happen pretty much anytime. I didn't want to rob people of their sort of morning routine and morning talk show. I didn't really feel like starting the day with a Nintendo stream either, just because it was an indie showcase and they had already kind of said that Hollow Knight, Silksong wouldn't be there. And Joker Quinn's going to start the day off. Han shot first, and so did you. The first 5 bomb of the day. A record-breaking week right now that you guys just continue to shatter seemingly every record that we have. I greatly appreciate it. We are really, really appreciative of the ongoing support of the channel and all of the members who both renew and upgrade and gift on both platforms. You guys have been going a little wild. Match has many differences and many similarities, just like there are between multiple different studios. Oh, what are you guys talking about? I'm not saying the wrong move. Just expect something similar to happen to Halo Studio being reorganized and Oh, yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it or not. We're obviously going to have to do a bit of a deep dive into what it probably means, but it's not surprising, given a lot of our own observations over the years, that it seems as though the Bungie takeover is happening. That, and we were kind of observing this. Bungie started showing up on like PlayStation Studios lists and being like labeled as a PlayStation Studio, which is not something that really jives with a contract that says you're sort of like independent. 80 million sold on the PS5. Sony publicly announcing the Bungie takeover. I'd say we got plenty to talk about. Yeah, that really kind of lends a lot of credence to my coverage up to now, just about how they're kind of handling a lot of those things. What's that mean for Destiny's future? What's that mean for Bungie? Do we get a Destiny 3? This shouldn't surprise us. No, I don't think so. I mean, they made it pretty clear. At least I felt like they made it pretty clear. There was like I don't know what it was. It was an earnings call, Q&A or something. And Totoki made it pretty clear they were not very happy with the leadership over there. They were none too pleased. So that is something that I think was kind of the beginning of like the signal that they're probably going to go in there and restructure. Plus the Helldivers 2 to talk about. Yeah, I think people are really misunderstanding what the guy from Arrowhead said. People were like running to my video and they were like, "Oh, you were wrong. And it was like, nothing that guy said refutes what I said I was told. I was told that Xbox initiated the conversation. All the guy from Arrowhead said was, it was all Sony. And what he's saying is it wasn't us, because it's not their call. It's Sony's call, which I actually say that in my video. I say this is ultimately Sony's call. It's ultimately their IP. They were somehow compelled to say yes to this. All I was told by somebody that I trust was that Xbox initiated the conversation, meaning the initiation of this came from Xbox saying, "Hey, we want to come to the table and talk about Helldivers 2." All the guy from Arrowhead is saying is that it wasn't us. You can't give us credit for this. You can't give Arrowhead credit for this, which makes perfectly good sense. It's like, yeah, it doesn't really refute what I claimed. It merely means that Sony made the call, which that's kind of like saying water is wet. We all knew Sony made the call. It's Sony's IP. That's what I said in the video as well. Yeah, I mean, I replied to you because I was getting a lot of replies, and I'm like, but that's not what they said. Like, a lot of people were misinterpreting what the man said. They were basically in a position of that we can't do this. This is not our call. This is Sony's call. Let me see. What did you put, Neo Reaper? Because I feel like I replied to you. Hang on. It's not sorting by... I don't understand. Why can't I see... I thought I replied to you, or did you leave the comment somewhere else? I thought you left the comment on the Helldivers upload that I did. Maybe you left it somewhere else. I just what Jez posted is all. Well, obviously the headlines make it seem as though that like this was like PlayStation, this was their idea. All the guy from Arrowhead is saying is this was not our call. Thanks Sony. This was all them. They're the ones that made the call. And it's like, yes, no one is surprised by that. It literally Sony owns the IP. If this was going to happen, Arrowhead had already expressed. You replied that isn't what they said. Because I can't remember your exact phrasing, but I'm like, that's not what the guy from Arrowhead said. I'm not seeing your comment though anymore. Did you delete your comment? I'm not seeing it. I replied to you and now I'm not seeing the comment. A big part of it is also just looking for gotcha moments. It's much easier to fight against straw man than a more nuanced argument. Don't know if you talked about this. Sony's CFO confirmed they'll be taking control over Bungie. Yes, that one's not surprising at all. Oh, the back end of YouTube is being really, really terrible right now. Like I can't do anything. I'm like scrolling on comments and it's just like freezing up. Okay, now I'm able to scroll down. I didn't delete it. I literally can't find your comment. I've only got the one from Legendary. Everything else is 12 or 13 hours old. Oh, you said, you see that Arrowhead said that Sony was the ones pushing for Helldivers 2 to be on Xbox. And I'm like, that's not what they said. And you replied, the CEO of Arrowhead admitted it was all PlayStation while imploring them send them your thanks. Right. You're putting words in their mouths. They did not say what your original claim, Neo Reaper. You're making things completely up out of thin air. Arrowhead did not say, oh, Sony was the one that pushed for Helldivers to be on Xbox. That's not what he's saying. He's saying it was all them. You don't thank us, thank them. He's saying it was their call. If you want to thank somebody for doing it, thank them. Like, he's not saying, oh yeah, they're the ones that pushed for it. That wouldn't even make any sense because Arrowhead was the one initially that said they wanted their game on Xbox. So you are completely misinterpreting his words. He would never be like, oh no, yeah, Sony pushed for it. That would make it seem as though Arrowhead wasn't pushing for it. Do you understand? You're creating a logical conundrum. That would make no sense for the CEO to be like, oh yeah, don't thank us. Sony's the one that pushed for it. That doesn't make any sense. Arrowhead was publicly saying they wanted the game on Xbox. They wouldn't say something to make it seem as though that they weren't pushing for it and that Sony pushed for it. You're interpreting the man's words in a backwards way that makes it seem like this was Sony pushing for it, we didn't push for it, which is false. We know they pushed for it because they publicly said they wanted the game to be on Xbox. He's saying, don't thank us. Send Sony your thanks. It's all on them. They made the call, meaning this wasn't our call. We couldn't do anything. It's not their IP. It's Sony's IP. Don't you see how you're misinterpreting what the man said to make it seem like, oh yeah, we weren't pushing for it. Sony was pushing for it. Liquid Smoke responded, this info only a couple hours old, and apparently the CEO responded to a player in their official Discord. Yeah. He's just saying send PlayStation your thanks because it was their call. If he was saying send PlayStation your thanks, they pushed for it, it would make it sound like hang on. Sorry. We're having to basically request an audit from YouTube on our channel. Something is not right. Something's not being, added right. Like we've got some metrics that are in error, so I'm just responding to that. Lone Wolf, what did Lone Wolf say? Are Battlefield 6 beta drops enabled on? Yes, they are. Yes. We'll switch directories at that point. Eugene says, why would anybody be surprised it's a Sony decision? Right. Listen, the fact of the matter is, my coverage on that has not at all stepped wrong or is incorrect. My coverage was, I was told by somebody I trusted that Xbox initiated the conversation. Ultimately, it was Sony's call because they own the IP. When the CEO of Arrowhead comes out and says, we'll send Sony their thanks, it was all them, that still makes my statements accurate because he's saying it was their decision. Xbox wasn't going to like strong arm them into getting the thing to go over. The Arrowhead CEO words are, it was all Sony's decision to bring Helldivers 2 to Xbox. It was all PlayStation. Sending your thanks. We are all in support. That was a lot to type. Right, which does not at all indicate Sony pushed for it. Mash says, saying Sony pushed for it sounds like Arrowhead didn't want it, is what you're trying to say. Right, you're setting up a misinterpretation of the man's remarks. If he, think about what you're saying. He's saying, go thank Sony. It was all them. And you're like, oh, that means Sony is the one that pushed for this. No, that would mean he's saying, we didn't push for it. Go thank Sony. They pushed for it. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying we didn't push for it. Sony pushed for it. That's nonsensical, given that Arrowhead publicly pushed for it to go to Xbox. They said that they wanted it to. They were open to it. They said it was ultimately Sony's decision. He's using the exact same logic now. He's saying, it was all them, go thank them, because it's Sony's call. That doesn't mean that Sony initiated and pushed for this to happen. See, what people are going to try to do is they're going to try to use this guy's statement to make it seem as though, oh, yeah, Sony pushed for this. Sony's changing strategy. When I believe, based on what I was told, Sony was compelled to take a live service game to Xbox because Xbox basically painted a very, very different picture for their future hardware and essentially said, this is a non-threatening move for you. I'm confused why it matters. Because, okay, so there's a bigger picture discussion here. I have to thank some people. Hang on. Milk Dud with 22 months is almost 2 years, and that's Nova Hands because it's using your handles now. 44 months. Start a new job this week. Don't have as much time to chat, but wanted to move the needle. Thank you so much for whatever the sub goal is. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate that so much. That gets us to 638 on the week. You guys are probably going to unlock another Saturday stream at this point. Appreciate it very, very much. Please read the Mind's Eye review. I'm not doing that right now. Arrowhead wanted it. They asked Sony because Sony makes the decision since they own the IP, and Sony said okay. To say Sony pushed for it would suggest that Arrowhead didn't want it but had no choice. Right. If that's what you got from my comment, that's my bad for the wording. Well, homie, I don't know how else to read what you said. Like, you literally said that the CEO said Sony pushed for it. Don't you see how that's not what the man said? Sony pushed for it. Sony pushed for it. So think of it this way. My daughter likes to go on play dates with her friends. It's ultimately my call, right? Now, if my daughter said to her friend, well, thank my dad, it was all him, you wouldn't say, oh, yeah, you pushed for the play date. No, it was ultimately my call. They both wanted it to happen, but it was my call to say, yes, you can go on a play date. Both Arrowhead and Xbox publicly made it clear they wanted this game on Xbox. PlayStation didn't push for this. PlayStation said, yeah, that's fine. We're okay with this. You've convinced us that this is a good deal. The difference is important because there's a larger discussion going on about, is PlayStation completely changing their strategy? And folks are going to try to use this to claim, oh, PlayStation pushed for this. They really wanted Helldivers on Xbox. Fill in all the different reasons people will make up. I'm simply saying that's a misinterpretation of what the CEO has said. The CEO did not say, oh, yeah, PlayStation pushed for Helldivers to go over there. So they all wanted it. As far as I can tell, Xbox initiated a conversation with PlayStation about this. That conversation compelled PlayStation to say, yeah, we're okay with this. That is entirely different. You have to see from a business perspective how different that is than Sony pushing for it and going, oh, we really want to put Helldivers over there. Those are completely different instances. A company company B coming to company A and being like, hey, we think this would be a good deal, and this company saying, okay, we agree to the terms, that's a completely different business dynamic, a completely different power dynamic than to declare, oh, well, this CEO's very generic remarks in a Discord means that Sony pushed for this. This was Sony's idea. It's like, I from what I was told, which makes way more sense to me from a business perspective, from the analysis that we've been making about these two companies and where they currently stand in the market, it makes way more sense that Xbox initiated this conversation and compelled PlayStation that this was a good deal for them. I feel like my life is wasting away the more we get into the weeds of pushing for this wording. And I'm someone who got all the shrines in AC Shadows. I know it seems like I'm being pedantic, and in this case, I am being pedantic, but I think that it's very important because the narrative that continues to get spun out of nonsense, whether it's a job posting, we find out the job posting was for a position that had already existed in a team that had already existed, and yet people try to claim that job posting was this signal flare of change and that, oh my gosh, everything's changing over there at PlayStation. People are going to do the same thing with this CEO's very, very benign remarks. He is not trying to indicate anything more than this was PlayStation's call. Thank them that this happened. Essentially what he's saying is we didn't have any say here. They had the power. They own the cards. They own the IP, which is logically in coherence with what he had previously said publicly, that they were open to it, but it was ultimately Sony's call. He hasn't changed the logic of what he's saying to the public in any respect. Yeah, I can get into the beta now. I didn't want to take the live show from people, the live talk show. We usually start the day just talking and jawing. Try to get us to 100 likes if you guys don't mind over there on the YouTube video. I appreciate you guys so much hanging out and watching. In the article, it says PlayStation pushed for this. Right. That is a completely wrong and egregious read of what the man said. We are in a cycle of fan fiction where we take very, very minor things that are said and we spin them out into significant things. And it's like, if you make that man say that Sony pushed for it, you're making him say that they didn't push for it, because that's logically how it reads. He's basically saying, don't give us credit, don't thank us, thank Sony. So if you interpret that as him saying, oh, PlayStation pushed for this, then what you're saying is the man just said, we didn't push for this, Sony did. And we know that's false and untrue. I believe I've just even, I would actually say I just falsified the claim. I think I falsified the claim, if that's how you're going to read it. It's wishful inference. Yeah, it's like, again, it's this is why this sort of thing is so important, because, and this is why I've always tried to tell people, you really, really need to be careful with buying in to these narratives and these ways of things getting spun, because it's very easy for the public to be misled. And now, what are people going to think? They're going to think, oh, yep, see, we knew all along this is how this was going down. PlayStation's doing the same thing Xbox is doing. You know, I'll disable it, sorry. Yeah, I mean, this is not, I don't think this is a fair read at all. This is not a fair read of the man's statements. I can't even get the headline on screen because there's so many ads on these websites now. Okay, so the man says it was all PlayStation. All right. Helldivers CEO comments on how the popular co-op shooter arrived on Xbox. Okay, right here. An unexpected but welcome move was a PlayStation-pushed move, as Helldivers is set to release on Xbox. Arrowhead CEO tells fans it was all PlayStation. So we're going to look for the words pushed, and we're going to see where it shows up here. To push back the invasion, Sony appears to be the one that pushed for Helldivers to release on Xbox. Okay, let's see what was said. In response to a fan on Discord who praised Arrowhead for managing to bring the game to Xbox, see how context matters, folks? Do you see how context matters? The context is someone was praising Arrowhead for managing to bring the game to Xbox. Arrowhead has no say in the matter. So the CEO clarifies and said, it was all PlayStation. Send them your thanks. We were all in support, of course. Isn't that interesting? He even says, we were all in support, of course. They pushed for this publicly. They wanted the game on Xbox. He is clarifying you can't give Arrowhead credit for doing this. It wasn't us. It was Sony. This does not mean that Sony was the one pushing for this to happen. This does not falsify what I was told. I was told Xbox initiated the conversation and PlayStation was compelled that it was a good idea. That is completely different than claiming, oh no, PlayStation pushed for this. PlayStation really wanted this. This was PlayStation's idea. Whatever version that you want to kind of throw out there. The context of the situation is the CEO is saying, we cannot be given credit for this. It was Sony's call because Sony owns the IP. This is exactly what was stated by Arrowhead previously when this subject came up. They were all for the game going over there, but they said that it was ultimately Sony's call. And I said that in my video. In my video about this, I said clearly PlayStation was convinced that this was the right call because it's their choice. They weren't strong-armed into this. It's their IP. And they made the call. They said, no, this is the right choice for the game. So I'm not trying to downplay the fact that this was a PlayStation decision. There's a big difference between it being a decision that was negotiated and initiated by Xbox and a PlayStation initiative. And in light of the recent things that have happened with that job posting and everything else going on with this claim that like PlayStation's going to send their full slate and PlayStation's going third party, yeah, I would say this is not the right time to be just adding words and intention and inflating things because you're giving consumers a false idea. Because if you read it that way, you're going to start to think that, yep, Sony's out here trying to push their games everywhere and they're trying to go out here and negotiate all these deals. And it's like, it looks very different if it in fact was Xbox who initiated the conversation. Sony gave them the green light and cut the check. Yeah, that's the best read of it, 187. As Sony gave it the green light and said, yeah, let's do it. I think this is the right call. Digital Foundry has gone fully independent. They have parted ways amicably with IGN. In this Digital Foundry Direct special, we share our thoughts and aspirations for the future of the channel. That's hugely important that they go independent like that. If it was Xbox who did it, so what? You're trying to make an excuse for the game. No, you're projecting onto me. I am not making excuses. I am properly reporting on what I've been told and what has been said. If you don't care for accuracy, you'd kind of have to ask yourself why you don't care to be accurate. No one's making excuses. There is a giant difference between Xbox initiating the conversation and PlayStation on their own saying we should do this. Those are not the same things. You have to see, in one instance, you should be curious why somebody internally at Sony would tell me that. Yeah, word on the street is Xbox initiated the conversation. You'd got to be curious, okay, number one, if that's true, how on earth would they convince PlayStation to change their mind on this? Because they clearly had no interest in taking it over there. It's a very random time to bring it over there. It's not like a 6-month exclusive or some standard practice they have with live service. It's like a random date, which begs the question, are they going to do the same with Marvel Toko and Fighting Souls? I actually think that's probably been planned since the beginning because it's a Marvel piece of property. And Disney probably says, listen, that thing belongs on the Switch too. That thing belongs on, the Xbox. Because especially with Marvel, you want as much revenues you can get with the licensure and the split and royalty and dealing with Disney. But that, I think, is an entirely separate subject because it's Marvel property. If you're going to put live service games everywhere, this is like a random thing to do this later, because to me, it was something where Xbox basically went to them and said, listen, we're gonna really convince you that this is a good idea. Because PlayStation, I don't think, was the one that wanted this, like, from the beginning. They weren't like, oh yeah, we're just dying to put it over there. Because it is a significant change, and it did cause a bit of a bluster in the games media realm. People are all like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Did you get earlier access? I mean, I can play right now. Isn't that how business works? Xbox should be trying to get the game on their platform, but it's Sony's decision to say yes or no. Right. What you're saying is what I'm saying. We're saying the same things. So what you're doing is you're trying to project onto me something that isn't there. I am not mad. I'm not upset. I have, from the moment Helldivers 2 launched, I have consistently said on this channel, I would be totally okay with the game going to Xbox. And I always said the same thing. I said, live service games, they live and die by the player funnel. If it's in service to the game, I'm in support of it. If it's in service to the players, I'm in support of it. A live service game going to Xbox, to me, did not make an ounce of, like, ruffle of like, oh no, that's bad. It makes plenty of sense to do that, I think. Plenty of people have run with the false narrative and have just straight up lied and have said that I'm mad about Helldivers going to Xbox, I'm coping, and that my video was like me trying to make some kind of an excuse, or I'm coping, or I'm angry. And it's like, no, I'm literally telling people in that video to calm down. I was trying to bring calm. It's like everybody's upset about this, everybody's angry, everybody's saying they're going to get rid of their PlayStations, and they're done with PlayStation. And I was like, this is not a threat at all to what you like about PlayStation. This is not a threat to the platform. This is not a threat to their exclusives or their first party games. That video is literally me telling people to calm down. And people who I think, intentionally and maliciously misinterpret everything I say, because it's the only way they can make videos. The only way they can make videos is to create this figment of, well, he's an angry fanboy. And it's like, why would somebody say, for literal over a year, for months upon months, why would somebody say, yeah, I'm totally fine if Helldivers 2 goes to Xbox? Why would I suddenly be angry? Why would I be upset? And why would I make a video where I'm like, everybody needs to calm down? This is not that big of a deal. There are people in the comments on that video saying, why are you so upset about this? Who cares where the game is? And I'm like, you clearly didn't watch the video, because I quite literally say that in the video. Like, who cares? Like, this is not a bad thing. Yo, what's good, Feed? Good to see you in the chat. Remember, PlayStation can see Bungie's numbers for live service when Destiny was hot, and they wanted servers like that. Well, I mean, there's always the possibility that influence from Bungie is at play here. I didn't ever really consider that, but Bungie could have possibly said, hey, you could probably get some pretty good player numbers over there. Live service games on Xbox have a long-standing history. It's kind of known as the multiplayer platform. These are things I actually said that in the... I think I said that in the upload. I talked about how, like, that's kind of the multiplayer platform in a lot of people's minds. That's right there is how I always viewed the platforms. I always viewed the platforms in that way. That, like, Xbox was the multiplayer platform and, like, PlayStation was the single-player platform. So to me, it was like, this is a good fit. You could get a ton of people over there to buy Helldivers 2 and to play and to keep the player funnel going. I always questioned the business sense of it, because I was like, well, now you're going to have Arrowhead doing quality assurance on 2 new versions of the game, so the patches will have to be a little bit different. They're going to have to do specific things to get it to run on the Series S. To me, it's like, if you want more players, there's tons of players on PS4 that you could get into this game, but obviously they want to get that adoption rate of the PS5 to go up, and giving people a reason to stay on PS4 is not something PlayStation wants to do. But that's how I always talked about this. I never once expressed frustration or anger or like, oh, I hope they don't do it. I was fully in support of it. I was like, it's a live service game. That's good for the game. The player funnel of these games, once it starts to dry up or thin out, it creates mass exodus. I mean, we talked about this with Destiny recently when we looked at those player numbers. I was like, that's catastrophic. When that many people stop playing your game, that is not good. And that's why, because once you start to lose players, it just compounds on itself. Because when Timmy can't play with his friends, he might stop playing. And Timmy's on some friends list too. And like a spider web lighting on fire, it just spreads where people just stop playing. And then your matchmaking takes longer. Then you're getting into laggy games. Yeah, with the PlayStation 4 not having an SSD, it was probably never a possibility. So I was always just considering the business angle. Like, if you're trying to get more players, there are tons of players on PS4. Maybe there were technological, barriers. Maybe, again, there were business strategy barriers. Like, that's not what we want to do. We do not want to give any of the MAUs on PS4 a reason to stay put. Like, we don't want to do that. So, that to me makes perfectly good sense that they would be like, yeah, let's not put it on the PS4. It doesn't make sense to interpret it as Sony having to push, because who would they be pushing against? Xbox and Arrowhead were pushing for it publicly. That is a very, very good breakdown, Jay Hart. Like, the logic of this is so easily seen. If you say, oh, PlayStation was pushing for it, you're basically creating an image where then somebody would have been not pushing for it. You're making it seem as though, oh yeah, Sony really wanted this to happen, and well, like Xbox and Arrowhead didn't. If you look at the timeline here, Phil Spencer engages the subject and says he doesn't know who's helped by Helldivers not being on Xbox. Arrowhead publicly declares they're okay with it going to Xbox. They would like it to, but it's ultimately Sony's call. When the game goes to Xbox, the CEO of Arrowhead is like, yeah, that was all Sony. Why? Well, because it's their call. Like, I guarantee you, that little remark from the Discord and that article and that phrasing is going to run circles for the next 48 hours in those environments. It's going to run circles. They're going to create this notion. They're going to create all this false headcanon for people. All those people are going to come storming into, comment sections and streams that talk about this, and they're going to say, full slate, PlayStation pushed for it, PlayStation begged Xbox to take it. All these inflated verbiage, sayings will get thrown around. Just watch. Over the next 48 hours, that's what everybody's going to do. They're going to run with some completely made-up, fabricated story based off of one sentence from a Discord of a CEO saying, it was their call, thank them. That's all he was saying. Now, on this subject, I do want to read this article. On this subject, Sony admits its live service shift is not going smoothly. I want to look at this article. It's coming from Insider Gaming. So Sony is admitting its live service is not going smoothly, okay? Not that anybody's really surprised by this, right? Like, is anybody surprised that Sony's live service efforts are not going smoothly? But, I guess they're admitting it. So let's take a look at this article from Insider Gaming. Sony says its shift in strategy to more live service games has been going smoothly. Really? I thought this said it isn't going smoothly. Hang on. Sony says that its shift in strategy to more live service games has been going smoothly. Is that a typo? During its latest earnings calls on Thursday, Chief Financial Officer CFO Lin Tao said that in terms of the transformation, the move towards more live service offerings is not entirely going smoothly, but from a long-term perspective, if you look at the changes over 5 years, you see that there has definitely been change. I mean, we've talked about this quite a lot, and I can already see the games listed below. They're going to highlight One of the reasons that PlayStation keeps pushing for live service is because they're making lots of money on other live service games, and they see the potential. That's why they're going to keep placing these bets. They know the payout can be huge. Tao talked about the fact that 5 years ago, live service games were almost non-existent for PlayStation Studios. But now the studio has successful games such as Helldivers 2, Gran Turismo 7, Destiny 2, and MLB The Show. Now let's ignore Destiny 2 because that was through acquisition. But MLB The Show and GT7 and Helldivers 2 are all initiatives that PlayStation has been behind that has made them tons of money. Like buying Bungie doesn't... This is obviously generating less and less revenue as time goes on. But that is something I have been saying for a very long time. Do not expect PlayStation to change. Everyone's like, oh, they should abandon all their live service efforts. Oh, really? And leave money on the table that they make from games like Helldivers 2, Gran Turismo 7, MLB The Show. Oh, let's not forget that Marvel Tokone Fighting Souls is coming, and that stands to be a huge and very successful fighting game. And those tend to be live service games where they do events, they do tournaments, they add skins, they add battle passes, they add characters, right? Like, that's going to be something where they likely make tons of money. Should they abandon that as well just because you don't like live service? Like, I'm not out here being a live service apologist, but I think people are being too, like, throw the baby out with the bathwater. She went on to say this. So we have 4 live services contributing to sales and profit in a stable manner. Despite those successes, Tao says that Sony recognizes that issues still remain, that they need to learn lessons from moving forward. She says that the company has to make sure that they introduce live service content where there's less waste. It's more smooth. Here's where you get less waste, and this is something that I've talked about a lot. Do not task your single-player studios with building a live service game. Go to studios that are already doing it, like when you partner and work with Arrowhead, like this situation with Marvel Tokone Fighting Souls. Rather than having Ben Studio or Bluepoint, building a live service game, go to studios that have experience doing it, and then that's obviously going to cost you a lot less money to publish a game as opposed to like having one of your studios that you're shouldering the operating costs for waste a bunch of years on it like they did with Ben. With that said, Tao was clear to mention that live service games made up roughly 40% of Sony's revenue in the first quarter. Let's just read this again and really drive home what I've been trying to tell people. They're not going to back off from live service because it generates so much money. Right here, live service games made up roughly 40% of Sony's revenue for the first quarter, getting close to half of their revenue. That's insane. You got to include games like Fortnite and Warzone in there, but it stands to reason they're looking at those numbers and saying, we need more of these games. For the year, she says it's in the range of 20 to 30%. So for the entire calendar year, it's almost a quarter or a third, all right? Now, speaking of live service games, Sony says that Marathon is still planned to release by the end of March 2026. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know why they haven't cut their losses on this game and canceled it. There's other reports coming out now that they are essentially taking over Bungie, and so I don't know why. Like maybe as soon as that happens, they cancel Marathon, right? There's always the possibility for another delay. Tao does not expect that to happen. So Tao acknowledges that it could get delayed again or canceled, but they're saying, well, they don't expect that to happen. I fully expect that to happen if Bungie fully gets taken over by Sony, because Marathon is such a non-starter. And right now, if you want the public to have confidence in PlayStation-owned live service games, don't put out another stinker. So, yeah, I mean, nobody's surprised that it hasn't gone that smoothly, but I'm just going to keep coming back to the same basic fact. You are not going to see this company walk away from live service games and live service publishing because of the money they could make. It's always going to be about that. The investment that they've set is going to stay put. I just think they need to be smarter about taking those investments and going to existing studios or existing pieces of property and partnering with them to have successful live service games, as opposed to having your single-player studios do that, because we know the tentpole titles are part of the identity of PlayStation, and you don't want those studios wasting their time on this. So live service is going to keep coming from PlayStation. Even if it hasn't been smooth, it still makes them a lot of money. Phil Spencer asked Sony for Helldivers 2. So you're saying Phil and Arrowhead pleaded? No. You're shadowboxing. Like, this again is what people don't... You're unable to do this. You're unable to have the conversation seemingly without just launching into projection and hyperbole. I never said anybody pleaded or begged. I used the word initiated. That's all. I never once indicated like, oh yeah, Xbox begged. I was told they initiated the conversation. I was told that's how it went down. That makes sense to me. It makes perfectly good sense that this would not be something that would originate with PlayStation, as PlayStation showed no signs or interest in taking the game over there. No one said pleaded, no one said begged. I've not even once tried to make this seem like a negative story or a bad thing. I've not once tried to do that. It's tiring to have to repeat myself because some of you guys are so hungry for a gotcha, or like you want evidence to use in your ongoing claims that like he's a very angry pony about this. And it's like, I have said since the game launched, I'm okay with it going to Xbox. I'm in support of that. I think it's good for live service games to be in as many places as possible. All I have said in my coverage of it going to Xbox is it's not a threat. It's not a concern. It's not a reason to get rid of your PlayStation. It doesn't mean they're going full third party, full slate, moving everything over. Like, there's no reason for people to panic. All I've said was, according to my source that I trust, who has never given me bad info, Xbox initiated the conversation. And it's being seen as a sort of refugee strategy, because there's anticipation probably at both PlayStation and Xbox that people are going to leave that platform in the coming years. That you're going to be able to grab those people if you've already kind of gotten them accustomed to playing your games and being in games that are made by, you know, studios that you partner with. Or if you're basically already accustomed to the fact that like, hey, I tried out one of those PlayStation games and it was really good. I really liked it. I don't think that means they're going to start porting a bunch of their big tent poles. Nate the Hate was the one that said more games are coming. Even he speculated he thinks it's going to be more live service games and maybe like smaller spin-offs like the Lego Horizon game. Lego Horizon game going over to me would make sense because it didn't seem like it sold that well, and Shuhei Yoshida said that when you port games it's like printing money because the cost to port the game is so cheap. So a Lego game going to Xbox, even if it doesn't get a ton of sales, that's still just more opportunities for them to maximize the revenue, and you just get more people familiar with the Horizon property. Like, you get kids playing it, and then when they get a little bit older, they'll see the Horizon 3 whenever it comes out, likely going to be like a PS6. Dan says, or the $10 super chat, off topic, but because of this channel, I've expanded on playing more games other than just Madden and COD. Doom, South of Midnight were amazing games I would not have normally played, but I loved. Well, I'm glad you're doing that, Dan, and thank you for the $10 super chat tip. Let me set the super chat goal. I forgot to set it. I will gift a member. That makes me gift a member to the community, and it does support me and the channel. So, hang on one second. Okay. Phil Spencer actually spoke to that. Helldivers 2 was a great game, but lamented and questioned the absence of it on Xbox. As a bigger player base for a live service is ideally better. This was not begging. Yeah, I would never say what he said was begging. Hey, Reforge, that response wasn't for you. It was for the chat members that mentioned pleaded. That means your chat members are wrong for using pleaded. Yeah, I would be correcting them too. I would do the exact same thing. I was reading an article and didn't see who said that. But if I saw somebody say that, I would say, that is not true. As I just corrected it when you said it. I'm like, they didn't plead or beg. They didn't. Is that actually true, Goat Gaming? I don't want to read that out loud if that's not actually true. Where was that stated? Did he state that on a podcast or something? Oh, he did. He did. Jez Corden tweeted 33 minutes ago, lost 60 pounds, more work to do, of course. Congrats. Keep going. No, congrats to him. Jez and I have been very amicable to each other. I have no issues with him. Like, I know people get mad at him and yell at him on Twitter like they do me. But good for him. Yeah, man. Keep going. It's cute that we think any of us get away with anything. Yeah, I would never not correct somebody who's saying something false. That's what I always do. If somebody was in here saying, "Oh, Phil begged for Helldivers," I'd be like, "No, he didn't. He made it clear what he thought." I broke 60 pounds today, says Eugene. Jez alt confirmed. There you go. There you go. Eugene, exactly. Jez. Yeah, Jez. Kicking it with Timmy B with a VIP, man. Welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I appreciate it so much. Lono is tall. See, he didn't correct me. Now, tall is subjective. That reminds me of the ladies in Bally Total Fitness commercial announcing that. They call PlayStation fans port beggars, yet Phil was actually begging. I don't like saying that what Phil Spencer did was port begging, because I think it was actually a lot more sinister than port begging. He was blowing a dog whistle, is what I've always said. He knew exactly what he was doing. Right on the cusp of them basically ripping the Band-Aid off and going into a more publisher strategy and sending their beloved titles to the rival platforms, he demonizes exclusives in the process. It was very, very calculated, boys. It was very calculated. It was not like I'm begging for Helldivers 2. No. Phil Spencer's way too smart to be out here begging for Helldivers 2. He wasn't port begging. He was blowing a dog whistle. And I told you guys when he said that, I said, just you wait. All of the little lapdogs are going to be like, okay, Phil, we know what to do now. We'll go out and talk about how exclusives are bad. Like, he was not port begging at all. It was literally a dog whistle. It was like, hey, everybody that repeats everything I say as if it's the gospel truth, I need you all to now start talking about how exclusives are bad. And they did. I told you they were going to. The minute we read that headline, I told you guys, I said, there you go. There's your dog whistle. They're all going to demonize exclusives now. And here we sit. Ever since he said that, there's just been the consistent notion that, like, exclusives are bad. This is the way the industry's going. There won't be exclusives in the future. That's all stemming from that comment. He's been in the industry a long time. He knows what he's doing. That's exactly right. I would never, ever co-sign or agree with anybody that says, okay, he was begging or pleading. Anybody's like, oh, yeah, Phil Spencer was pleading for it or begging for it. I'm like, no, he was not. That is simply untrue. It's a secret until he starts walking around in a robe. Yeah, Zubair thinks he's a Sith Lord. Try to get me to 200 likes, guys. We're doing a waiting room. I didn't want to dive right into Battlefield 6 gameplay. I wanted to have a talk show with you guys. There's a lot of stuff going on. The PlayStation stuff dropped. The earnings dropped. All their numbers are unsurprisingly looking very good. 80 million shipped, which means not all 80 million have sold yet, but they have shipped with anticipation of being sold, which means typically when they report those numbers, shortly thereafter, they actually hit that sales milestone. So, yeah, I mean, the Days Gone thing, listen, I don't like throwing around port begging, because here's why I don't like throwing around port begging. Aren't we all at some level port beggars? Seriously, think about it. We're all port beggars. We all want games to come to our platform. Like, let's not be stupid. Let's all take a moment and say, today, and just for today, I'm not going to be stupid, okay? Let's all take a moment to say that we won't be stupid today. We're all port beggars. That's the facts. We all want the games coming out to come to our platform. How many times do I see a really cool rogue or a really cool survivor-like game like the Vampire Survivor games, and I'm like, man, I wish that was coming to console. I wish I could play that on my console. No, not me. You're liars. You're in my chat right now lying to me. You're not telling the truth. If you saw a game that looked awesome and looked fun and you wanted to play it and it said PC only or Switch 2 only, you would be like, man, I wish that was coming to my platform. I wish I could play that game. We're all port beggars. Everybody is. Nobody's ever looked at a trailer for a video game and thought, that looks so incredible, I hope I never get to play it. I hope it's only on a platform that I don't own. That's nonsense. You're a liar? You're talking nonsense. Every time I see a cool trailer for a game, I'm waiting for that final card at the end of the trailer to show me my preferred platform, which for the longest time was Xbox. Now it's PlayStation. If I see something as PC only or like early access Steam wish list now, blah, 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 I'm always like, if you want the game, buy the platform. No. I think you're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding the point that I'm trying to make. I'm not saying that everybody refuses to buy the other platform. I have played plenty of games on my PC, like Witchfire and Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. Why? It's the only place I can play them, and I enjoy them very much. I also played just yesterday a demo of Morbid Steel on my PC. What I'm not saying to you is everybody is the same in that we're all port begging and refusing to buying other platforms. I'm saying when somebody says, I really wish that game was on my platform, they're not port begging. If that's port begging, then we're all port beggars. We all say the same thing. There's not a single time you've seen an awesome trailer and haven't said, man, I really hope that game comes to the platform that I play on. That you say that whether you want to admit it or not. Now, that doesn't mean that when you see a trailer for Donkey Kong Bonanza, you're like, man, I really wish that would come to my platform. I'm never going to buy a Nintendo Switch 2. Please port the game over here. I think there's almost never instances of port begging. I think it's just people expressing a desire for a game to come to their platform. They're like, man, I wish that game was on my platform. Think you left out the if? Well, yeah, I was obviously being provocative when I said we're all port beggars. Because at our heart, deep down, when we see a game, we're like, I wish that was on my platform. That doesn't mean you're against exclusives. That doesn't mean you demonize exclusives or you don't think that exclusives are valuable. I can want Deep Rock Galactic Survivor on my console and still see the value of exclusives. I can really, really want a lot of these amazing rogue shooters that I've seen on Steam only. I can really want those to come to console. But at the same time, be like, well, I still think exclusives are valuable. Both can be true. That's what I'm saying. Most of the time people call something port begging, it's not port begging. It's just somebody who's like, man, that would be such a great game to play over here. Thank you so much, Winged Wheel. There's also a lot of people who can only afford one platform. So they're kind of like, man, it'd be great if that game came over here. That's what I'm saying to you. I don't see who it serves. Not having Helldivers on Xbox equals begging. I don't think so. And another single comes in from hashtag Abe. Good to see you, Abe. It's always weird seeing your handles. It's now 10-0 as Purple is going to take another day to think about what they want to do. They busted you guys up the other day with that 250 gifts from Pork Pie. It's not called port wanting, it's called port begging. Your argument lacks nuance, exclusive conversation aside. It doesn't lack nuance. I think 9 times out of 10, when somebody calls something port begging, they're not begging. They're just like, man, I really wish that game was over here. That game looks awesome. I really wish we didn't have to do this exclusive thing because I can only afford one box. Now, there's a difference between sort of wishing for no exclusives because you can only afford one box and demonizing exclusives. There are people that can probably see the value of exclusives, and yet they kind of wish that exclusives weren't a thing because they can only afford one box. And they're like, man, I kind of wish I didn't have to go buy a whole nother console if I want to play those games. But just saying, man, I wish that game was over here, or even tweeting and saying, hey, have you guys ever thought about, I've seen this. People will tweet at a developer, and they'll say, hey, have you guys ever thought about bringing your game to Xbox? And people are like, yeah, port beggar. And it's like, what? They're literally just saying they want the game to come over. Wishing and begging are two different things. Never heard of a hobo wishing me to give him $5, right? James Wolfgang with the 39 months and a member plus. What would be an example of port begging then? I don't know. To actually beg would mean to like grovel, right? Sven says, I've never seen anything wrong with wishing something was available on your preferred platform. Somehow that's an insult, right? Like, let's just look up the definition of begging. To ask someone earnestly or humbly for something. To ask for something, typically food or money, as a charity or a gift. Like, the context where begging is typically used is not when I'm like, man, I really, really wish that you guys could come visit us. What are you begging? I'm like, no. It would just be really nice if you came to town. It'd be really nice if you guys could come over for dinner. What are you out here begging? Why are you begging me to come over for dinner? No, I'm not begging. Begging is commonly used in these cases as an insult because it's supposed to be like groveling. You know, like, please, please come to our platform. I rarely see anybody doing that. It's funny how the same people who came up with the term port beggar are now saying exclusives are bad. I think port begging is kind of how the Switch was. Everyone was asking for things to be ported to it. I think it only upgraded to begging because people felt like they were hearing it constantly. Yeah, the Mafia reviews are out. They're not very good. It's like my favorite band goes on tour and they skip my city. I wish they would have come to my city. You're a concert beggar. Nice spin, bro. What's good, Trill? I'm just saying, I don't think, on the subject of Helldivers 2, I don't think I saw anybody port begging. It was a very popular game. It went viral. Everybody was playing it. And people were like, man, it'd be awesome if it was on Xbox. And Phil's like, I don't know who it serves not being on Xbox. That's not port begging. Like, port begging is like, please, can you please put our game over here? I don't think I've ever seen anybody actually begging. So are you like a beggar? Let me beg you. Like this stream. That's right. Hit the like button. I'm a like beggar. Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much for $2. J Hard on the super chat says, I'm port begging for Dune Awakening. That's all right. That's right. What is this? Oh, I forgot. Whenever we have soccer, we get these like schedule reminders. I'm like, what the heck is going on? They were begging. I don't agree. I don't agree. Here's the thing. This is kind of like how when I see people debating things about like their worldview, how they view the world and culture and politics. I typically am sitting there thinking they have 80% in common and they're acting like they're sworn enemies, right? I think in the realm of like port begging, I think we have way more in common than we do not in common. And that's why I was trying to say we're all port beggars. We all at our heart are a port beggar because we have a place that we prefer to play. We have a place that we prefer to play, and when we see a really banger trailer, we're like, man, I really hope that's coming to my platform. Oh, yeah? Are you port begging? No, you're just, oh, I hope that's coming to where I play. If you primarily play like I do on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 5 Pro, and I see an awesome trailer, and I'm like, man, I really hope that's coming to PlayStation, I'm not port begging. I'm a gamer. I'm just like, that looks sick. I hope I can play it where I like to play. Oh, it's going into early access on Steam. Man, let me go see if they're bringing it to consoles. Yeah, do you guys have any plan on bringing it to consoles? Oh, you port beggar? Just get a PC, bro. Like, what the frick? This is where the dialogue and gaming discourse has fallen. Excitement about a game is now what? Cringe, bad, port begging. Frick out of here. Yeah, like, I hope I can play it with my friends. That's right. Yo, thank you so much for 14 months. Archon 1. I was disappointed when my mom asked for a port catheter to get her chemo. I told her she was a filthy port beggar and should just build a gaming PC. Thank you so much for bumping the line to 12 members on the day. I greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you. Welcome back in. Yeah, why are there no reviews for consoles? Mafia the Old Country, 54 PC reviews and none for consoles. Did they only send PC codes? Begging and wanting are distinctly different things. Okay, Lobo. What do you feel like has to transpire for it to go from wanting to begging? What do they do or say that you're like, yep, they have now transgressed. They are a port beggar. Nuance matters. Well, lay the nuance on me. Where do you see the line? I think deep down in our hearts we're all port beggars, and you're all triggered that I said it because you know I'm right. I triggered all of you because you know that I'm right. You know every time you watch a trailer, you're like, that looks sick. You don't say, well, I hope it doesn't come to my platform. I hope I have to wait. I hope they release it on PC only. I hope they release it everywhere else but where I play. No, you're like, man, I really hope that comes to my platform. Triggered, more like gaslighting. Same thing. Same thing. Alone, I have a PC and a PS5. I already get all the good games. The difference is basically just crying over it. Do I wish more games were everywhere, but I'm not going to cry for it to come. So you think there have been people that have been quote-unquote crying for games to come to their platform? Tagging a company and berating them. Okay. So if someone tags a company and berates them, you would classify that as port begging. See, I would use a different word. I would say they're being a degenerate idiot or a loser. I wouldn't be like, oh, they're port begging. I'd be like, well, why are you doing that? You can at the company and say, hey, are there any plans to bring it to console? Are there any plans to bring it to PlayStation? Are there any plans to bring it to Xbox? You know, berating somebody? I think they're doing something far worse than port begging. They're being a degenerate. The line is when the conversation goes from being aspirational to creating an imperative. Captain, the storm is getting worse. Get on the radio. We'll have to dock at the nearest port. Oh, so we're port beggars now? Mutiny! Ginger cried for Final Fantasy. I'm pretty sure there was a long-standing history there with Brian wanting that game to come to Xbox. That's why he got emotional. He had been wanting that for like years. He was really huge in the community, advocating for that. He wanted more people to be able to play the game because he truly thought the game was great. Like, that was an emotional moment for him. And obviously it went viral because he didn't say, finally it's coming to Xbox. I've wanted this all these years. He just kept saying Phil Spencer. So it obviously became a bit of a meme. The whole term got started when Xbox games started going to PlayStation and people would speculate which games would come. It would be great if this was on Xbox too. This should be on Xbox. Yeah, but I think I even said that once about Helldivers. I'm like, for all intents and purposes, this game should be on Xbox. It's a fit for Xbox. The armor kind of looks like, it would be maybe in Halo if you did it just right. And that's the multiplayer platform. It's got a longer standing history of feeling and looking like the multiplayer platform. I don't know. I think it's cringe, says MASH, when people say they bleed blue or green or their loyalty to a platform is a badge of honor. If I spent $10,000 tomorrow on any platform, I'm more valuable to them than your loyalty. Oh, that's more valuable than loyalty. Aspirational thinking versus demanding. Okay. So when Phil Spencer said he doesn't know who it helps for Helldivers not being on Xbox, Was he speaking in an aspirational way, or was he demanding? Begging isn't demanding. Yeah, I also think that's a really weird line, like demanding. Like, hey, that should really be over here on this platform. That'd be a great fit for this platform. They could literally be trying to argue and being like, hey, that seems like it'd be a great fit over here. That game really should be over here. Begging is pleading. That's what I'm saying. Begging has with it a bunch of baggage as a term. We're using it as a pejorative. And when you use something as a pejorative, you are trying to make the person feel like they are low. You are trying to cut them down. That's the intention behind it. The intent behind saying port beggar is an attempt to use it as a pejorative, an insult, to signify they're in a weakened state. They're begging, they're pleading, they're groveling. I don't feel like I've ever really seen that. I feel like commonly when port begging gets thrown around, it's just some tribalist yelling at the other brand. Like, yeah, you're just mad you can't get this. You're port begging. And it's like, maybe they just think the game looks cool and they'd like to play it. Maybe it's a lot more simplistic than that. A lot of the people that wanted Helldivers 2 to come to Xbox, maybe they weren't port begging. They were just like, dude, that game looks sick. I'd love to play that with my friends. Man, that should be over here. Hey, port beggar. Gavin with 24 months. I think it's strange to say you're begging when you're paying 70 to 80 euro for it. Asking to get it for free would be begging. Eugene says, the use of begging is projecting all kinds of negativity in a weak emotional state. That's exactly right. That's why I said, when we're the way that we use port beggar, we are all port beggars. The way that we use it, the way it's almost commonly used, the way I see it used on Twitter and YouTube chats and YouTube comments, the way that it's used, we're all port beggars. We all want the cool new game to come to our preferred platform. We all do. Of course, yes. I've seen so many trailers during Future Game Show especially, where I'm like, oh man, I really hope that's coming to console. Haseo making it really easy to get to the next milestone. Nice setup, Haseo. He wants to see a 5-bomb to 650. The platform to do it. I owe 5 members. We're going 5 every 50 now. The projection is a feature, not a bug. It's for console warring, not understanding consumer behavior. You don't talk crap with soft words, you effing morons. What did Mash say? I hate when people want to make themselves out to be more than others. To me, if you argue logically or intelligently, I value more than anything else you do. And a 20 bomb comes in from Mash, and then a 5 bomb comes in from Abe, and gets us to 670. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's going to be 39. Purple, you're asleep today. Pork pie can't be the one every day to save you. I don't use the term lightly, if at all, since I understand the context in which it's being used. I know it when I see it. Mash says, sorry, Abe. I wanted to get it moving. Well, you got it moving. Jiminy Christmas. And a VIP from Undying Dirge, and a Member Plus from TaylorMade. Another one for the love. Thank you so much, TaylorMade. 38 months. And thank you, Undying Dirge. That gets us to 672. Another strong week, man. Appreciate it. Mafia doesn't have the greatest overall score, but I'm scrolling through Metacritic and I'm seeing 80s and 90s. The reviews aren't that bad. We'll check it out tomorrow. We'll see what I think. I need some of you mother effers to fix your handle, says Zubair. I don't have space in my brain for two names. Yeah, I know. It's so frustrating that they did that. So frustrating. I think, just going back to what started us down this debate, I think most often when port beggar is used, it's used in a way that is all of us. It is. Yo, the Superfly drops a 5 bomb to put Twitch on the board. There it is. 41-5. Thank you so much. We are now at 677. I greatly appreciate it. I think the most often I've seen it used, right? The most often I see it used, it's literally just describing like a normal gamer. Just somebody who's like, man, that game, I would love it if that game was over here. Oh, that game should be over here, man. Oh, that game looks so cool. I wish it was over here. And then every time somebody's saying something like that, they get called a port beggar. You could report just on the news. You could just say, Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox. And people would be like, yeah, you're port begging. Or you could say, I heard a rumor that Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox. And they would say you're port begging. Like back when I said, I heard a rumor, or I was told by a source that I trust, that Starfield's coming to PlayStation. And I was called a port beggar. Because you always port beg for a game that you own on 2 different platforms. I literally own Starfield on Xbox and Steam. But yeah, I was port begging. By the way, if you guys are tuning in for Battlefield 6, I'll be diving into Battlefield 6 gameplay shortly. I actually should look at that. We probably should be careful with this when we do these waiting rooms. We're probably getting a lot of people. Yes, we're getting a ton of people searching for Battlefield 6. If you are searching for Battlefield 6 gameplay, I will be diving in to the gameplay in a little while. We're going to do 2 different streams today. We start every day with the talk show, and I did not want to take the talk show away from people. And Haseo is going to drop 2 more single gifteds. I know what he's doing. He's trying to bait the 20 bomb. He's going to do a third. He's going to get this to 680. Somebody else do the 20 bomb. Don't let MASH do it. It's a race. Purple. Somebody take this from the man. Like, step up to the plate. Don't let him. There it is. There's the other signal from Haseo. It's 680. Hopefully somebody geared up and was ready to rock and roll. And I'm going to add those 3 to the member battle. It's now 44-5. Thank you guys so much. It's used when Xbox ports did well and people started acting like PlayStation users were all over social media asking for those ports. Oh, MASH is going to share the glory with a 10 bomb. He says, all right, Purple. He's like, I'll give you a chance. He's being kind, all right? The man is being kind. There's a 10 bomb right there, and that gets us to 54. Thank you so much, MASH. Battlefield 6 is the 4th most played game right now on Steam. That thing is going bonkers. Like actual bonkers. We do have a hype train going on Purple as well. Now's a good time for you guys to kind of rally, given that MASH gave you a little bit of time. You just beat the boss in Liza P in one go. Oh, you beat a boss in one go? Good for you. Are you playing on normal or did you lower the difficulty? There is a surprising amount of pent-up demand. And a single comes in from Joker Quinn. And he says, all right, if anybody does it, it's going to be an Agents of Chaos. Thank you so much, Joker Quinn. And we are now at 55-5. Look, Twitch, you're only 50 behind. You know, 50 bomb to tie it. That's not that bad. Downloading the beta right now. I don't expect to love it enough to buy it, but I'm at least interested enough to give it a try. We have a video coming later today about skill-based matchmaking as well. Battlefield 6 skill-based matchmaking will be a topic for today. We will be checking out Battlefield 6 gameplay. How many of you have dove in? How many of you have been playing Battlefield 6 beta? If you have been, let me know what it's been like. Are there queue times? Is there lag? Is it running well? Curious what your experience has been. I'm not in that space for gaming, and from over here, it looks like 20 million people were anxiously waiting for more good Battlefield. Dirge with the VIP. I don't know why it's letting you double dip. You just did that, but thank you for 26 months, Dirge. What's a wake up, chat? He says it's Battlefield time. No queue, got right in. Nice. They must have been prepared for the demand. That's insane that they have that many people playing. Like, what, over 300,000 people are playing on Steam alone? They must have absolutely ramped up a stupid amount of servers. We need 10 more likes on the video. If you haven't hit like yet, do so. Listen, if you watch on a regular basis and you haven't hit subscribe yet, hit subscribe. That way I'm in your feed. Turn notifications set to all. Make sure your notifications are not turned to like personalized. Oh, there was a queue earlier in the day. That first land rush, probably. They saw the public reaction. They rented more servers. Yeah, the overall consensus was really, really strong for this game. So, how do people get access? You got to watch on Twitch to get access. So when I'm playing today, you'll be able to get drops. Been sitting in a queue for like 30 minutes. Wait, you're sitting in a queue right now? Okay. Well, once I decide I'm going to play, I'll boot the game up and we'll just sit in a queue. And then once I get in, we'll switch to the new stream. That way I can... That's why I thought a waiting room would be good. I thought we were going to deal with queue times. And I got right in this morning and I ran around. I was like shooting. And I was like, man, this game looks and runs incredible. It looks so good on the big screen. I was very impressed. What kind of drops are they? It's literally a drop to get into the beta. That's all. You collected all the level 1 emotes. There you go. Hype Train has finished and concluded on purple. Oh, on console you're not hitting a queue. Really? Interesting. Oh, you don't watch on purple? If you guys pay for Amazon Prime, you can support me every month with a Twitch Prime. You can just go drop it. You got to do it manually, so make sure you check that every month. Sometimes you guys forget. I would forget. Everybody would forget. But if you have one, make sure you're using that every month. It doesn't even have to be me. Just make sure you're using it because it supports the creators. Yeah, let's stay on Battlefield 6 for now. I'm looking. I know there's other topics and things that you guys want to discuss. I know there's other things going on, but yeah. We may want to, rather expeditiously jump into some gameplay. I'm probably only going to play I usually play for about an hour, so that's why I didn't want to have the talk show be too short. I'm also going to send you guys at the end of everything to a skill-based matchmaking video. It's a very short video, but we've got some info on how it works, and I'm like, don't screw this up. It's one of the quickest ways to irritate people. Looks like there's a queue again now. Okay. I don't have to worry about that because we're chilling in a talk show. We're not actively trying to play. We're just chilling and talking about all that everything's going on in gaming news. One of those things being the Battlefield 6 beta. And if you guys missed the upload yesterday, I uploaded my reaction to the PS6 stuff from Moore's Law is Dead. How do you have skill-based matchmaking with 64 players? Sorry for the caps. No, that's okay. More than likely, it's going to be more team-based than anything, so you'll want to check that out. Shinobi here with a quick snapshot of PlayStation's quarterly results. Over 80.3 million PS5 consoles have shipped. PS5 hardware sales increased by 4% this quarter. Game and network services are up 8%. Operating income profit climbed 127%. Why would that climb so much? Is that in relation to the all those games on the top not being their games? Like, they just sold so well, like they don't have to market or publish them? Like, is that related to that, you think? Because that's operating income profit. Or did all this stuff with Bungie start dropping? Has it fallen off or gotten lower, like the amortized payments, or however you're supposed to say it? Software sales reached 65.9 million, up 23%. PSN monthly active users increased by 6% from 116 to 123 players during the same period. So the current record is 129 million players for their monthly active users, their MAUs, and they're back to being within 6 million of that. That's pretty crazy. I know I saw a lot of comments just a couple of days ago that said PlayStation was dead and PlayStation was in trouble. I don't. It really looks that way, boys. They really need to figure this thing out, this gaming thing out. They're having a really hard time. One thing I noticed is the amount of people with Rocket Games I have tanks were never able to be up for more than like 2 minutes. Oh, the tanks are getting blown up really quickly. It's sad to see Sony in such dire straits, Gavin. You know, they're really down on their luck, dudes. They really are. They really are. I'll pause them, Valkyria. Thank you. Except for all the money and the critical acclaim, Sony's really struggling right now. Yeah, Dead Man Walking. Oh. Ooh. You actually like that the tanks aren't OP? I'm begging you. Please buy a PS5. I'm begging you. Grovel, grovel, grovel. Thanks and welcome. You're good. If you guys are ever getting disrupted by those things that disrupt the stream, just let me know in chat. Sometimes I forget to hit that pause button. It unpauses itself every so often, and I gotta repause. If I'm actively looking down and not looking up, I won't see the countdown. It tells you when it's gonna do it. So... I don't want the tanks to be paper, but I'd rather them die fast than never die. Things that disrupt the stream, you mean Abe? Yeah, I mean, as far as like tanks in a game like Battlefield 6, there was a map in World at War that had tanks, and it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous that they just would never die. Tao clarified, so in the long term, if you can see this is an ongoing process, the direction for Bungie is to become part of PlayStation Studios. Yeah, it seems that the observations about Bungie being listed as a PlayStation Studio in the months leading up to this, people were saying, hey, it seems like change is afoot here, that they're being sort of like taken over. So it's looking like PlayStation 80 million and Xbox hasn't cracked 30 million yet. This was supposed to be our gen. Yep. I think you nailed it a long time ago, Eugene, when you said little brother syndrome. Like, looking back on how everything transpired in all those conversations that we used to have and how frustrated we used to get, like, it so much is that. You know what I mean? All that peacocking. I don't want the tanks to be OP. We're talking about the tanks in Battlefield 6. So if you're interested in Battlefield 6 gameplay, I will be jumping in eventually today. I don't want them to be OP, but they're not surviving long enough to be helpful. Yeah, you got to find a happy medium. Like, they need to be a piece of armor that can be leveraged on the map, whether to just transport people or to lay down some covering fire or some damage on buildings. And if they die too quickly, then I would say that they need to analyze what they think the life expectancy should be for a game like that. For an object like that, for a tank like that, and an armor, a vehicle like that, you got to measure life expectancy and say, okay, how long are they currently living on average? And I honestly think life expectancy for a piece of armor like that in a game, just from the outside looking in, I would say life expectancy needs to be measured from the time it is first shot at by the enemy to when it dies. Because if you're just doing life expectancy from like the spawn point of the tank and like they're driving around and nobody really sees them for a while, that might give you bad data points where you're like, oh, well, the actual life expectancy of the tanks is not that bad. You would need the tanks to be measured against when they're first shot to when they actually explode and be like, is that an acceptable amount of time or should it be a little bit longer, right? Tanks are absolutely crap on a modern battlefield against an equipped enemy. They should be weak. Right, it's a video game, though, so like we're not obviously going for hyper-realism. I mean, there's elements of realism in the game, but, you got jets and helicopters and things, flying over, a fairly small area. And, engaging in, air to ground combat. So it's like you're obviously going to have to create elements that aren't necessarily realistic. Because if 10 people looked up and all took open fire on a low-flying helicopter with reasonably calibered weapons, it'd be pretty quick. You would turn the dadgum thing into Swiss cheese. The pilot would die almost instantly. If we're going to talk about realism for the tank, well, let's talk about realism for the people. I don't know if we want that. I don't know if we want to go that route, Man, this guy got shot to sunshine. Hang on a second. Eek, boom, he's back. He's full health. He's ready to go. The tanks are there, to serve a purpose, just like the medics and all of the other elements of the game. So they have to function, adequately within sort of their identity within the game, if that makes sense. You'd be dead off spawn. Right, exactly. So, if you're parachuting down or flying a vehicle, driving a tank, getting engaged in sniper fire, there needs to be an element of playability so that you're not just dying instantly because you grab a tank or you grab a helicopter. A $2 super chat says, is the beta cross-platform? Yeah, I may end up turning that off. I saw that as a setting. You can disable it. At least on PlayStation you can. I think those choppers, but the pilots are pretty bulletproof bathtubs. Small arms fire shouldn't penetrate. If you need armor piercing, y'all activating my military hardware geekdom. Yeah, you obviously wouldn't be able to do every single element. Every single gun, you'd need reasonably calibered weapon if you're going to try to take down even a helicopter. But still, some of those smaller helicopters, especially the glass, I assume the glass would be pretty strong. Actually, are you going to play with people? I usually just kind of jump in and go. If we do a community game thing on Saturday, I would allow people to jump in and play. I don't like doing that in a live public environment because you end up with a lot of downtime of people trying to hop in. Typically, if I'm solo, I can hop in and out of games relatively quickly. If you're on my friends list and you hop in, I'm not going to stop you. But I don't want to sit and wait, which is typically what happens in a game like that. You're sitting in a lobby. You're all right, did you get in? All right, did you get in? All right, did you get in? Oh, did you get the invite? No, that just ends up making for a terrible live stream. So. Formula Legends for demo. I will try that. Oh, cool. Yeah, I lagged out. Don't play this as copyrighted music. Sony says marathon release is still planned by March. We are now fixing the problem, so we believe the launch will happen. And if this launch is canceled, we need to do the revision of the valuation. However, as of now, this is not expected. All right. Whatever you say. Unless it's Zubair, we just kick him out and ban me in chat just to be safe. Yeah, both. We need to do both for sure. Weirdest thing just happened. I have not been in one of your live streams for a month or so, but I just got gifted a sub. Only reason I know is I saw the email. Ever happened to anyone else? Yeah, what it's doing is it's cycling through people that it feels deserves the membership. Sometimes what it's doing is, if you've been watching Battlefield content lately, it might say, oh, here's someone who has previously watched Reforge. Here's someone who has recently watched some Battlefield videos. Let's gift him a membership. Maybe not even Battlefield. It could have been something I covered this week. It could have been the PlayStation 6. It could have been, any of those topics. We have been dealing with a pretty significant drop in viewership, and we're not really sure what the cause is. YouTube's just been acting very, very bizarre. Our reach is pretty bad. Our turnout's pretty bad. We're not really sure what happened. People are like, oh, it's the summer slump. It's the summer slump. I don't know. I even reached out to my partner manager today, they're not calculating things on the back end correctly at all for me. I've been kind of panicking. I'm like, what's wrong? And then I went and I looked and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't right. Like, with like revenue and stuff is not right. I'm gonna have like my partner manager like audit my channel. Something is in error, it seems. So likely that's playing a part. Like, gifted members are not counting the way that they should. Something's wrong, and I'm not sure what it is. By a significant amount. And we didn't catch it because we thought, oh well, everything's down. Like in last month, everything kind of went down, and I was like, oh well, it's down. But then I kind of looked this morning, I was like, something is very, very wrong. Like, the support's been crazy, member count's been great, but everything attached to that doesn't look right. And I don't know if they're having some kind of a problem. I don't know if some shenanigans are going on with gifteds. I don't know if people are somehow gifting and then charging back or something. I don't know. Like, we had a huge day the other day. It was Tuesday, I believe. It's not showing properly. It's showing like we didn't at all. Like, it doesn't make an ounce of sense. So I reached out to my partner manager and I was like, hey, I need you to look into this. Something seems to be amiss. Like, I even DM'd Creature on his trip and I was like, something's wrong. Like, we're not getting credit. We are not getting credit for the stuff that we're supposed to be getting credit for. You guys went insane on, I believe it was Tuesday. Wasn't it? Wasn't that the day where we covered Lost Soul Aside? Yeah, Tuesday was the day that both platforms went insane. And when I go to the back end of that stream, it's like nothing happened. It's like it didn't happen. I'm like, so something is wrong. Is happening to everyone on YouTube? I searched Twitter. Nobody seems to be complaining about this. Nobody's like, hey, my membership revenue's not right. So I just reached out to my partner manager. I'm like, can you look into this? Like, because I've been kind of freaking out. I'm like, this is bad. Like, what's happening? And I just assumed it was because of the dip, because of the summer. But it's not. Memberships have been totally fine. Memberships have actually been very stable, which is something I've always told you guys. Like, gifting and paying for your own memberships really protects us when viewership goes down or ad revenue goes down. Like, we're not really affected by that. And then all of a sudden, this summer, it's like I'm not getting the appropriate, either I'm not getting the appropriate split or it's not counting them all. Like, I don't know. Joker's clip uses Judas Priest's prophecy, I'm Nostradamus, the voice of God. Oh, okay. So, I don't know. That's been part of the reason I've been a little spooked lately. And I'm like, man, we really need to bounce back. And then I went and looked at it. And I'm like, no, we don't. I was like, you guys have been crushing it. What the frick is happening? So I'm hoping it's some kind of an error on YouTube's side and he can get down to the bottom of it and they can fix it. Could the 5 over 25 have been affected by this? It wasn't actually too much. We're talking like broken. Yes, Zubair. We're talking like, yeah, we're talking like thousands not there. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm doing the math 3 times to make sure I'm not an idiot. I'm like, okay, this many people at this much, 70%. This many people at this much, 70%. I did it like 3 and 4 times. And I'm like, what the frick's going on? So, and like I said, I went to Twitter and nobody seems to be having the issue. So that's what made me nervous. I was like, are we getting like fake gifted members or something? Like, I don't even know if that's possible. 3 times is enough even for Lono? Yeah. Yeah. And I've been transparent with you guys about like where things are and how well we're doing usually. I'm like, yeah, you guys, we hit a new milestone. Hey, we unlocked some emotes. Like, I've never tried to hide any of that. And it's not right. Something's wrong. And it's been wrong for a long time. I checked the previous month and I was like, wait, what? Like, no. Eugene, I can go and look at July and it shows the number of memberships I had for the entire month. It shows me. And it's not right. The number of memberships is really high. My split is wrong. Like, egregiously wrong. Yeah, exactly, Zubair. Like we have been doing better than we probably ever have. And you wouldn't think it if you saw the back end. You would be like, something is wrong. What is going on here? So hopefully there have not been shenanigans, and hopefully people haven't figured out how to do something goofy with gifteds to where like it's showing me with the number of members that maybe there's a bunch of wood in there. I don't know if people somehow figured out some kind of a loophole or something. I don't know. This may be helpful, though. No, my buddy who streams has been having the same issue. He's been getting half of what he should, and he can't figure out why. That's what I'm getting. Instead of getting like a 70-30 split, I'm getting like 45% or something. I'm like, what? Gifted from foreign countries with bad exchange rates? I mean, maybe? Do you think this has anything to do with, could the tariffs have affected this? YouTube's trying to take a bigger cut. I'm supposed to be getting 70, and I'm getting like 45%. Subs from Brazil, for example, are quote-unquote cheaper. The gifters haven't changed. This is only on YouTube. I'm curious if you guys have heard any of the creators talking about this. Like, it's actually really bad. It's been one of the reasons I was kind of getting a little freaked out, because I'm like, this is like literally how I provide for my family, and I'm like, something's not right. Like everything is way lower than it's supposed to be. And I'm like, I just assumed, oh, it's because viewership has been down. No, it's because I'm not getting what I'm supposed to get from memberships. It has nothing to do with viewership. We've never been particularly strong in viewership anyways. That's never been our bread and butter. Our bread and butter has been memberships. Like, we're growing and we're getting good viewership, but we're not at all. Yeah, like, here's another one that I think is completely and utterly wrong. This is for June. For June. Okay. Yeah, for June, I got shorted about, according to this, just my basic math, I got shorted like $2,000. I don't understand it. Basic math. Number of members multiplied by 5, multiplied by 70% should be what I get. And I'm $2,000 under. That's why this summer I was getting super bummed out. I was like, this isn't working. What is going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, what's happening? They could be blocking legit accounts. Yeah, but it's giving me credit for the members. It's by, I told you, it's by a lot, and it's gotten worse. This month, it's off by like 4. June was off by 2. The previous month was off by, 4. June was off by 2. July was off by 4. This month is off by 4. I'm like, what is happening? I, again, was just trying to do the thing where, like, don't look at the numbers, just do your job. Don't look at the numbers, just do your job. And I assumed it was because the turnout was low. I assumed, well, maybe it was because people went over to purple. But no, there is a huge amount missing. I'm like, what's going on here? So, I'm hoping that my YouTube partner manager can get to the bottom of it. Well, they don't, that's the thing, is they don't give you an estimation. It just shows me total members. Is it because you're streaming on Purple too? No. %30 of 100, then 30% of 70? I'm not sure what you're saying, Zubair. I just looked at it today, and that's why I started late. Like, I got nauseous. I was like, wait, what the frick is going on? I was like, why are these numbers so not right? I have been freaking out like all summer thinking, oh, we're in a bad spot. This is bad. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And it's like, it's not the support. The support has been totally fine. The support has been strong and consistent. You guys have been absolutely crushing it, and I'm not being paid properly. And I really wonder when it started. I wonder for how long it's been like this, because I've been kind of feeling like it hasn't been right for a while. Because I'm looking at May right now, and it's like, I was just curious, like, are other creators complaining about this? And Dirge just said, so one of his buddies is saying he's getting about half of what he's supposed to. Yeah, May was off by $2,000. May off by $2,000, June off by $2,000, July off by $4,000, this month off by $4,000. What the frick is going on? It doesn't make any sense. The member count's not dropping. The member count has been stable, and the actual percentage that I'm getting is going down for some reason. They haven't said a word about this, by the way. They haven't said, "Oh yeah, we've adjusted payouts or we've adjusted percentages." They haven't said a word to us. This is thousands of dollars that I'm not getting. I didn't even realize. I haven't been paying attention to it. And then this looks correct. April looks correct. It's okay. Okay. April is off by about $800. Now, I would say that could be anything. $800 could be a conversion issue. It could be a global currency issue. There could be $800. I'm going to be like, okay, margin of error. So April off by 800, May and June off by $2,000, and then July and this month off by $4,000. Something is wrong. The member count is going up and the money is going down. Like, there's got to be some kind of a glitch or an error, or some kind of shenanigans is going on with gifted members. Like, is there some type of a thing that people are doing where I'm not being compensated? 800 is not margin of error. But again, it could be because of different global currencies, right? Some of you guys from Canada could be gifting a ton of members, and maybe I get less on those. I don't know. So $800 over the span of an entire month, I could say, yeah, maybe it was a currency thing. Twitch was April. Yeah, Twitch, we got back on Twitch in April. You don't think that would make no sense? People that are not partner get what split? You can't get monetized without being a YouTube partner. As soon as you're a YouTube partner, you're monetized and you unlock all that stuff. It's a 70-30 split. Yeah, March was wrong too, it looks like. Yeah, March was off by a bunch. March was off by like $3,000. I haven't been checking this. I didn't think I had to check this. The member count has been so consistent. You guys have been so loyal and so faithful, and I'm not getting the right amount. Yeah, March, if it was going on in March, it's not a Twitch issue, because we did not get back on Twitch until April. So it's not a Twitch thing. It's not like somebody at the company was like, hey, that guy's multi-streaming, cut his share or something. Same thing happened to Nade Shot. Wait. What happened in Nade Shot? Yeah, February is off by like $1,500. I'm every month it's been between $2,000 and $4,000. I don't understand. I've been panicking. I'm like, I told Creature the other day, I was like, this isn't working, bro. I was like, this isn't working. And then I went and looked today, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not being properly paid. Is it because you're gifting the IOU members? That wouldn't account for that much, would it? No. No. There's no way. Because we've always done it that way. Unless they change something. Nadeshot talked about the YouTube sub situation last week. Wait. What did Nadeshot say? I don't think it's that significant, D. Like, imagine not paying me somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 a month, and they're like, "Oh, it's because you're gifting your own members." And it's like, yeah, but I don't gift that much in a given month. I'm in Portugal. A gifted here is €5. That's $5.54 American. So yeah, I would get more off of that, not less. I'd have to go and look how many of the gifted members are from me. Even right now, it doesn't make sense because I've scaled back on my gifting, and right now it's the worst that it's ever been. It is the worst that it's ever been. It shows us at like 3,500 members, and then there's like $4,000 missing. There ain't no way I've spent that amount of money in gifting. I've backed off. Because I was like, what the frick is going on? Like, I'm getting kind of hurt by this. It's not that I'm getting hurt. It doesn't matter if they're from you, you would still get the payout. I would still get 70% of it. That's right. Yeah, they wouldn't like subtract that. That would be ridiculous. Could be system error and reconciliation will sort out by YouTube. You must gift at least $1,000 in gifts. Yeah, but I'm never getting close to $2,000 and $4,000, homie. In the last 28 days, I know I haven't done that. That would be absurd. And again, it shouldn't matter. It should not matter. You wouldn't be, if they were going in and deducting that, that would be absolutely ridiculous. That would be like, you're basically saying you're basically robbing. I'm getting hit from both sides there. I'm adding to the total to help and to be a part of the the incentive and the goal, and then I'm both spending money and losing money in my own payout. That would be ridiculous. 5 months shorted. We're 8 months into the year, Eugene, and I'm going back and looking, and I've been consistently shorted. Here's a month where we had almost 4,000 members. 3,929. Yeah, there's $2,000. There's almost exactly $2,000 missing in January. Almost exactly $2,000 missing in January. Every month, I'm missing somewhere between $2,000 and now up to $4,000 a month. Like, where the frick is the money going? It doesn't make any sense. That's primarily how I do what I do, and I'm being shorted every single month. Did that guy say what Nadeshot said? Is Nadeshot saying he's... No, he has Spudmaster. What did Nadeshot say? Was Nadeshot having the same issue, like not being paid appropriately? for his members. You're not even accounting for the higher memberships. It's worse than that. Yeah, there's 500 some odd people in there at $6. I'm doing this all as if they're all just $5 memberships. Check my message. That's what happened to Nade Shot. It's not because someone is using Argentina conversion when you can gift 100 subs for $5. This is happening because someone is using Argentina conversion. You can pay $5 for 100 gifted subs. Wait, are you serious? That's what I was worried about, Epsilon. People figured out a loophole? Are you sure? The 100 subs for 5 is Twitch, isn't it? Not YouTube? Yeah, that seems like YouTube would catch that after it happening like for 1 week. That wouldn't be going on for 8 months. There's no way. How YouTube loophole is damaging streamers and VTubers. To elaborate, YouTube pricing in Argentina is so low that someone can gift 50 memberships at the $5 tier, normally costing $250, for 2,500 ARS, which equates to $2.71, effectively giving away all the channel's members' content for 100 less. This was posted a year ago on Reddit. That would be gross negligence by YouTube. How has that not been fixed? Like, I was wondering what was happening. I was like, why are we... YouTube would also be losing money. How would YouTube be losing money? I mean, maybe, but... that would explain the money loss with all the members. It would make sense. I really doubt the big gifters here are currency skirting like that. I would really hope not. That's really damaging to what I do, because that means you're helping me hit a goal and it's all fake. It's not real. If that's what somebody's doing... if somebody's actually doing that, then we're getting to a goal sort of not legitimately, which means everybody's going to stop and be like, well, I'm from Dubai. 367 equals $1. Well, right, Behemoth, you go pretty crazy sometimes. How much does it cost you to do a 50 bomb? It costs you $200 to do a 50 bomb. Okay, it should be $250 American. Well, but how much does 200 in your currency equal out to American, to USD? You're doing AED? That's $54. What? No, it doesn't. If he spends 200 AED, that's $54 American. It should be $250 American. That's $200 less. And a 20 bomb from Behemoth says, let's just do it. Like, but I'm so confused right now. I paid 300 AED, $81. Okay. So you paid $81 for something that's supposed to be $100 USD. So instead of me getting $70 from that, I got 56. So that's $15 less. So that's not terrible. I mean, that would obviously add up. You get paid 70? I don't think I get paid 70. He just gave YouTube $81 USD. I get paid off of that. If somebody is gifting with some kind of a currency loophole and they're giving, according to this Reddit, if they're giving, basically $3 for 50 members to YouTube, it's hurting you gifting back. That's why I was gifting back, and I was like, wait, I'm actually losing money right now, and I shouldn't have been. I always did the math, and I was like, 5 every 25 is a perfectly legitimate way to pay people back, pay it forward, and be a part of the movement and be a part of what we're doing here, and I was basically losing money. And if somebody's doing that, that's why I had to slow down. Bro, I'm crashing out, bro. I'm crashing out. We've been doing this for 8 months and I wasn't paying any attention to it. Speculating will only get us so far. I mean, Behemoth just did it. Behemoth just did it. He just proved that he could gift 20 members for less money. So again, that adds up. If you've got really heavy-hitting gifters gifting large amounts of members, and I'm doing 5 every 25, dear Lord. What can you do about global currency conversion? I can't... I can't see it. How am I supposed to know? Like, I don't know that Behemoth can do that. Oh, thank you, Pork Pie. Pork Pie drops a 50 bomb on YouTube and says, on Twitch. He drops it on YouTube and says, hey over there. Hang on. The member battles actually, I forgot to add the 20. I forgot to add the 20 from Behemoth. Tied up. I'm so sorry, Pork Pie. That's my bad. I forgot to add Behemoth's 20. It's actually 75.55. That's actually my bad. You broke my chat again. Hang on. I got to close and reopen my combined chat. Never mind. I am so sorry. I did not mean to do that. I'm very, very distracted by this topic. And a single gift that comes in from Joker Quinn. Dude, for 8 months, that would perfectly make sense as to why I'm getting shorted thousands of dollars, because there are hundreds upon hundreds of subs in there that aren't at the normal like $5. Yeah, I sent an email to my partner manager, and more than likely he might come back and say there's discrepancies. You can't get a solid total from your member count because a lot of those members could be purchased for a lot less money. I just see a member count, and then I looked at the revenue and I'm like, something's not right here. There was a month where we had almost 4,000 members, and the payout wasn't even close to the right amount. Where's Mash live? He did a super chat the other day in Canadian, I think. It was Canadian currency. So I don't know. Thank you so much for 36 months, Paul. Have some British pounds to make up for the difference. 5 pounds is $6.70. Well, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. We're still benefiting from dumping that tea, in the river, and there's proof of it. I don't know if he's here. He was here earlier. I don't know if he's here. Again, we just proved that it's possible, though. Behemoth literally just did 20 members for like $20 less. So that's a giant mirage. It's like, 20 members. You helped us hit the goal. Let me gift in response. But I'm not getting 20 members worth of revenue. Does that make sense? That's the dilemma. I'm in the dark. I have no idea that Behemoth just did 20 members, but I'm not getting 20 members worth of revenue. So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going to do 5 every 25. I was Rain, and I started crunching the numbers. And I'm like, I'm not making enough money. Something's wrong. And you want to know why? We were hitting really high member counts, and there's like $2,000 to $4,000 missing every month. And then on top of that money being missing, I'm paying out of my own pocket to gift members. I can't even think about it for too long. Because I looked all the way back to January of this year. There's thousands of dollars that I have not been paid according to the member count. But if people are doing this, that's why. And all this year I've been gifting like crazy. It's a huge difference. In the U.S., $140, which is equal to 514 AD, way more what I pay. I'm sorry. Why should you apologize? You probably didn't know any better. You're like, I'm just gifting. A good chunk of that is your gifting is double hitting you. C. Lou says, I can't see donations being different, but shouldn't the subscription be equivalent to 5? Thank you for 33 months, Arthur Torres. Oh my gosh. Okay. Darkside Phil has been dealing with this for multiple years. This is hilarious. I had no idea. I'm headquartered in UAE. Oh my gosh. Well, that explains it. I gifted so much. I gifted so many members this year. I didn't know you could do that. I couldn't figure out what was happening. I was like, I told Creature, I said, I'm not making enough. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Yeah. 8 months. I'm so stalled out on this. Like I can't even talk. I couldn't figure out what was happening. You're based in America, if that helps. Well, no, it does help, Joe Crane. You've been very regular, but some of my biggest... You have to understand what I've been doing. Literally until a couple of weeks ago, this entire year, I've been gifting 5 every 25. And... I was getting a significant amount of less money because I didn't know you could buy memberships for that cheap. I didn't know people were able to do that. I literally assumed, no, this is nobody's fault. But, okay, so what happened was, and the reason we're feeling it this much now is because a bunch of people went to purple and some of the heavy gifters have really increased their contributions. So that's why I was super confused. The membership was going up on YouTube and my money was going down. And I'm like, what is happening? Now, I overlooked it because ever since we came out of Summer Game Fest, our viewership took a hit. Like, our viewership took like a big hit. And I was like, well, maybe it's because viewership down. But then this morning I really thought about it. And I'm like, we've never had like a ton of ad revenue. So my viewership being down, my revenue shouldn't be dropping the way that it's dropping. Like, it's kind of scary. It's like, what is going on? Is this why other people are using Patreon? The gifting back is relatively new. We've been doing 5 every 25 for a long time. Like, we were doing it like all this year. I know we were. A $20 super chat from AOZ says Lono Recovery Fund. I mean, we're talking about approximately $2,000 a month. We're talking about somewhere close to $20,000 that I wasn't paid because, oh my gosh, it hasn't been for years. I did it all last year, Eugene. I did it all the year before. I remember we totaled it up, Eugene. We've been doing it for a long time because I added it up and used it when I filed my taxes. Like, that's a business expense. The good news is YouTube didn't do this. The bad news is YouTube can't fix this. I'm glad I could tell you the source so you can take the first step to fix it. Well, the step to fix it is I can't gift back anymore. I wish I had thought sooner. I knew about this, never thought about you gifting back. Homie, oh my gosh. For 7 months. I was like panicking. I was like, something's wrong. It had worked for so long, and I think the reason it worked for so long is I don't think we were so dependent upon a couple of people. Like, for all last year, it was probably more spread out, so it was way less noticeable. Like the 1 month that I found that we were down by like 800. There was a month where like MASH wasn't really around for almost like the entire month. So the amount of members we got that month is more close to the amount that I was paid. All last year, that was probably true as well, because MASH would come in and go a little crazy, but he wasn't like literally carrying the membership on his back. We've had a couple of months where that homie is literally the one helping us hit the goal. Well, what that does is it creates this inflated number of members, and I'm getting less and less revenue. Does that make sense? The more and more we're dependent upon guys that are using that currency, the less and less money I'm getting. And I'm just sitting here gifting members like crazy because I'm like, oh, we're hitting these huge goals. This is great. And then I turned around this summer and I was like, I'm losing money. How is this possible? The math doesn't math. And then I looked this morning and I'm not being paid appropriately. Like, what's happening here? Thank you so much, Eugene, for the $20 super chat. Blame the Canadians. I think if you cut the gifted on your end, it's okay. This way I can still gift the same way as others do without concern of currency location. Yeah. Yeah. This is such a terrible loophole that people... Thank you for the £5, DGAD. It's time to recalibrate your gifting, Lono. Here's my small contribution to your deficit. I appreciate it. Oh my gosh. This is the level. This is the level of panic that I was in. I was literally gonna go. I was gonna meet with a buddy of mine, and I was just gonna like lay my business before him and like, something's not right. Something is wrong here. We're not making enough. We figured it out. I'll tell him he's off the hook. Yeah, we found a missing 20 grand, a measly 20 grand missing from my revenue for the last 8 months. Yeah, we figured it out. Good Lord. Thank you for the £10, James. I appreciate it. Well, thank you, James. I appreciate it for the £10. We hit the super chat goal. How does the gifting back hurt you? Because it charged more than the gifted subs that UA give you? Yes. So basically what was happening, Light Leap, is very generous gifters were getting us to really high member counts, and they were actually doing that by giving me less money, and I didn't know. So I'm constantly gifting in response to their number that they're hitting. Like, let's say they hit 100. I want you to really think about this with me for just a second. When somebody was hitting 100, I owe you, at the time, I would owe you 20 members. Okay? That's $100 that I would pay. Now, I get some of that back. I pay some of it. But I'm paying that, and the person that got me there was able to get me there with like $81 USD, and I don't get all of that. I only get 70% of that, right? So I get, of the $81 or whatever he said it was, right? I was losing money on that deal, by the way. I was losing money on that. $5 from Manuel. You have our permission to start hitting us with ads. No, the ads don't do enough. That's insane. Does YouTube not provide a payout statement with details of transactions? That's nuts. Well, when things are going well, I'm not going to go and like crunch the numbers. So like all last year, the money was fine. I was like, oh, okay, this is working. We're growing. And the members were good. They were solid. And so it kind of went unnoticed. It was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I think what happened this year in particular that bubbled it to the surface is a bunch of people switched to Twitch. So we lost a lot of our regular hits from guys like Alex and Cardoc Ren and others. So MASH has increased significantly every month. He has been gifting more than typical. And there were months where he like carried the membership completely almost on his own because we just had so many people that just weren't here as often. So the member count was staying the same because of him, but I'm getting less because of the currency. And then I was still gifting like normal. So basically, I have spent this entire year, the 8 months, completely spinning my tires, and I didn't know why. I assumed it was because we were slowing down, like our sub growth slowed down and our viewership kind of slowed down. And I thought that just kind of tracks. Right? That just kind of tracks. Like we're slowing down as a channel. We had some weird things happen. And when you send a bunch of your people to start watching on Purple, YouTube doesn't know why those people aren't watching anymore. All YouTube knows is that a bunch of people are now no longer watching. So I figured, okay, we'll get through this 6 months or so and it should start to fix itself. I went and crunched the numbers this morning. And the reason this tipped me off, on Tuesday, Pork Pie went crazy and MASH came in and answered the call and dropped like 150 members by himself. I went and checked revenue for that day and I was like, huh? I was like, what? Why didn't we get a bump? We should have a pretty big bump. We had a bunch of members. And that's what sent me down this rabbit hole. And then somebody in chat just said it this morning. They were like, there's a terrible loophole on the platform. People can shower you with members and you're not getting the right amount of revenue from it because of a currency exchange problem. So they're buying you hundreds of members for a fraction of what it should cost and you don't know. I don't see it. Yeah. No, I don't see it, Johnny Always. Mash says, I see super chats for me are for country I'm in, not location of my account. I think cut the gifted back so we continue the same goals. It's on me. Yeah, it's not on you, Mash. I have to cut the gifting back, but it's not on you because there was no way for you to know. How could you have possibly known this was happening? You were just being super generous. It's still your money, after all. You still were going crazy for years and months on this channel with an insane amount of generosity. The ratio of your money to subs or members is not your fault. right? Like, you were still giving the money. That's what's so frustrating about this, is like, your generosity was like an accidental, like, it was like an accidental weapon. You weren't intending for that to happen. You were generously being like, boom, boom, yeah, let's go. And I'm thinking, yeah, let's go. This is amazing. Stop giving back and he'll stop losing. Well, here's the other dilemma. The goal then is not even remotely where it's supposed to be, because like it's like that's like I don't even know how we do that. If Twitch is doing it correctly, no more memberships on YouTube, only Twitch. Yeah, what happens if you try to gift on Twitch, Mash? Does it make you use Canadian currency, or does it allow you to do the same thing? Yeah, Mash, you don't deserve any blame in this. You have been generous for years. This is a total error on their part to not properly inform us that, like, hey, just so you know, somebody can buy 100 members to your channel for way less money than you're expecting to get. Oh, even Twitch uses UAE. Okay. Frick. I don't... Okay, so I don't have an answer right now to make this like a more robust solution, but for now what we'll do is I have to just stop gifting because I don't have a proper measurement of what this represents over here, which is unfortunate. Also, rewarding people with a Saturday stream for 1,000 when you can get us to 1,000 relatively easily, because if people start to figure out how to do this and start to loophole it with currency, that's another concern as well. That's a good thinking. Save the effort of moving or setting up a VPN. Check with YouTube. Sorry, bro, this is awful. Well, yeah, it's awful. I've been sitting here spending a large amount of money this entire year completely in the dark on this. I was actively losing money. And I had no idea why. I was super scared. I was like, I've got to replace the entire heating and air unit in my house. And I'm like, we're not even going to be able to afford it. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, we just continue to slide. It should be easy enough for you to break down donations by region. I can't. The problem with that, Zubair, is if we hit 1,000 members in a week, and a huge portion of those members are bought at a fraction of the cost, and I'm doing Saturday streams, like, that's really disruptive to my life. Like, I was justifying it because I was like, we really need to bounce back here. We really need to bounce back. Something's wrong. Yeah, Eugene, I could gift back basing on, like, monthly payout or something. I don't like that, though. That's like me being like, I made this much money, time to give back to you guys. It was more about like, hey, we hit this goal, this is awesome, let me give back to the community. That was more of like a community feel. That would feel like, maybe try and think of some new rewards instead of gifteds to encourage gifting, and maybe a sponsored payment, maybe, I don't know. You should report this. It works even with VPN. I just checked. This is really dumb because the fix is simple. Check country of issue billing address for credit card used. Well, I mean, Behemoth and MASH, they genuinely have funds in that currency. They're not pulling some kind of a weird trick. That's where they have their money. I reported it to my my partner manager. I was like, I'm hitting insanely high member numbers, and my payouts don't match. I was like, something's wrong. Well, we figured it out. I think the clue should have been when that guy was pocket watching me on Twitter, and he like added up the number, and he was like, this is how much money he's making. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He forgot to do the 70-30, but I should have done the 70-30 at the time and been like, wait, something's wrong. I should have seen that something was wrong. Only accept USD? I don't have a way of doing that. When I suggested the foreign currency issue, I had no idea it would be the whole issue. Apparently, other people have highlighted this, Rain. Yeah. It was on Reddit like a year ago that you could buy like an insane amount of members for somebody for a very small amount of money if you do a loophole. You had no reason to even think across these lines. This is a Google policy effect. Is it better to just gift super chats instead? Oh, I hate that we're even talking about this, but I'm glad that I did, because we would have been so confused for such a long time, because my partner manager might not even know. He might be like, I don't know, let me check, and it could take weeks to figure out. I think with super chats, it's a little more obvious, because I'll see somebody do like a currency I don't recognize, and I automatically know like, oh, that's going to update, and I'll see, oh, my super chat went up by $5. Like they'll give me like 5,000 of some other currency, and I'm like, I don't know what 5,000 is, and then I'll see my USD currency goes up by like $5. On members, I can't see it. I just see the member count going boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, oh man, the member count looks fantastic. Meanwhile, it's actively generating less revenue, and I'm clueless. I don't know how many of the members have been purchased with other currency. I am completely in the dark. So I'm sitting here thinking, man, we're doing incredible. Look at the member count. And I remember thinking to myself, we kept saying, if I can get to this consistent member count, we'll be good. And we're well above that, and we're making less. And I was so confused. I was like, what is going on? We're losing a ton. We'll make it up in volume. That's right. A Canadian sub or gifted is $7.99 CDN. So we just lose Friday nights now? The member goal is questionable now this is happening? I don't know. There's so much. This is really complex. I mean, we're just in the weeds, so let's just stay in the dadgum weeds. This is super complex. I want you to think about what's happening. Our biggest need is to get people at the $6 tier. I want you to think about the fact that somebody can get a huge batch of people on a membership for like way less than that per person. So when we're sitting at this number and 600, 500 of those are somebody gifting at like a lower conversion rate of currency, do you see how that's actively working against my aims as a creator? I'm trying to foster a growing community of people supporting the content directly. It's almost like we have to turn gifting off. I'm not saying we're going to do that, but I'm just speaking hypothetically. Turn gifting off and be like, we just have to have goals centered around renewals upgrades and genuine new members, not gifting. But I don't want to do that because like that's such a significant portion of contribution to the channel is through gifting. If I'm like, no, you have to do super chats, that's going to be completely destructive. You can look at it this way. Anybody who upgrades from MASH is a big upgrade. This is true. But like that's actively working against what I'm doing though. Somebody like MASH dropping 150 members on chat for that amount of currency, it's like you just gave all those people a reason to never, ever, pay for their own. And you can do it over and over and over again. It actively works against getting people to support the channel directly. That's the huge dilemma here. We have fostered an environment where thank you for the $2, Manuel. He says, Roll Call USA. We've fostered an environment where we're like, hey, this is a fan-funded operation, and you guys have risen to the call. But now we're so heavily lopsided into gifted, and we can stay heavily lopsided into gifted because people like MASH and Behemoth can very generously just keep that number really high, and I'm actively getting less from it. Do you see the problem? 20 members is 80 for me. Yeah, and it's 100 for me. So when I was giving back every 100 members, I was actively losing money. You just need to recalibrate. The daily goal should go up some, and that'll push weekly goals up some. The fractions will cancel out. Is the rate the same with monthly payment? I don't know. Yeah. MASH is still being... You guys have to not look at the member number. The amount of money that he's giving to the channel is still incredibly high as one individual person. But the dilemma is his currency can create an insane amount of people, an insane amount of members. Do you see the problem? His generosity is not in question. It's as a mechanism, he can create so many members, which can create this illusion of like, oh, we've got so many members. This is fantastic. Let me give back. That's why I was actively losing money. So we almost need to like do a couple months of just big time super chat focusing to like to fix it. But I don't know. He should take the 10 bombs instead. No. It doesn't matter. If he does like 110 bombs, it's the same thing. Yeah, MASH is dropping a crazy amount of money. This is not his fault. It's a YouTube thing. YouTube isn't telling me or properly informing me about this. That generosity is not leading to conversions. Have super chat goals instead of gifteds. Yeah, I've got to immediately not gift back, which is a bummer. See last, please. What I would do is calculate my actual split rate. For example, on average, you're getting 50% of the memberships instead of 70, knowing that can inform your decisions. We're actually at like a 45% right now, which is like kind of nauseating. Light Leap says, as a viewer, it seems unfair that one viewer can gift 5 subs and spend the same amount of money that another can gift with 20. It makes it super hard as a creator. What's the situation on the other platform? It's the same. It's the same situation. Somebody can gift like crazy on Twitch with another currency, and the YouTuber has, the streamer has no idea. All you know is you're getting a ton of members. And so, like, as an example, when Pork Pie went crazy the other day, I can go and see that he went crazy. I can literally see it on the back end. I can see the amount of money I made from gifteds. I went to YouTube and did the same thing because Mash practically matched everything that he did, and then the channel did as well. And like YouTube, like the number barely moved, and I was like something's wrong. I had to take a quick restroom break. Hang on one second. $5 super chat from Metal Matt. Gifted's count is half, and Mash and the others dial it back. The renewals count is more. Encourage signups and renewals. I don't know if we're going to be able to come up with a solution right now. We probably should encourage people, honestly, given the split with YouTube. Do we have a tip command for YouTube? I don't even know if we do. We don't. I don't even remember how to do that. Oh, we can use the same one from Stream Elements. Yeah. Yeah. Hang on. Upgrade. Oh my gosh. I just feel like we're always dealing with stuff like this. It's so discouraging. Thanks. D says, could you tally a day's take and gift at the start of the next day based on the dollar amount, not member account? I appreciate that, Narwaffle. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, so the tip command is now on both platforms. If you guys want to do it that way instead, for the time being, and then we'll figure out a plan on what we want to do with goals and members and stuff. For now, I've got to stop gifting. That's clear, which is a bummer. We'll figure out how to do that. No, I was never adding my gifteds to the total. Thank you, Hotshot, for a gifted. Bumping the line to 675. It's still fun to go for the goals and to do Friday night, but I think what we're going to just have to do for the time being is I don't gift, and we can't do Saturday streams now because I can't justify it because I don't know, I don't have a good bearing on what's going on. Lono's not knowing is that YouTube is bad at being helpful to its creators. Yeah. Thanks for 47 months, Rygen. He says, order coffee. Yeah, order coffee and use the tip command. And renew your members and upgrade your members. Those are the big focal points right now. Upgrades especially. Thank you for 23 months, Rygen. Thank you for the VIP, John Lepkowski. It's a good thing we have so many people that generously support with their primes and their and gifteds and renewals and upgrades. It really is, because that's really at some level that's really protected us. What's the issue? A lot of the people who have been super generous with their gifting have been able to do it for a lot less currency as far as US dollars goes. So I was actively losing money by gifting back. No, tips are not 70-30 through Stream Elements. Do you know what the split is, Wired Rope, through Stream Elements? Because it goes like directly to my PayPal. I don't know what the split is. It makes sense. Spending power is different. The price of a membership wasn't a Big Mac in your country, but the price of 3 Big Macs, it would be unfair. Right. Mash with $14 super chat. Thank you, Mash. They should be 70-30 or higher, like 80-20. There was a way back in the day to do it directly to PayPal, and PayPal takes way less. Because I don't even do a pop-up. It's just the processing fee. Thank you for 4 months, Paul. Wilbur says, frick region currency gives me 27 something. Yo, thanks for using my code over there and getting some t-shirts, Sven. I'm seeing from Stream Elements, they don't take a cut from tips. Oh, it's just a processing fee. Okay. Yeah. Basically, we need to move to Kick for the 95.5. I feel pretty guilty, honestly. Hope we can keep the same total member count, but maybe he doesn't give back and have to worry about that. Thank you so much, Fanta, for doing a member plus. That really is right there the biggest need. If we could get that count to go up, none of this would matter. Everything MASH has been doing would just be like, you know, cherries on top of the meal. We really, really need as many people on member plus as possible. Like, that's the thing that is a huge, huge need. And yes, we will not be doing gifteds for a while. I won't be gifting back for a while. I've got to figure it out. My man Pork Pie, you're insane. $200 super chat. Since I can't get the tip to work on Twitch for you, that's very generous. Thank you, Pork Pie. Right, but that adds up, D. That adds up. You got to think how much I was doing. If I'm doing 20 members on a 100, like a 100 bomb, and I was doing 20 members, according to the currency exchange, I was basically losing money because I wasn't getting as much from those 100 members. Does that make sense? Post that Venmo. I don't think I can do the Venmo because it's like my full name. I don't want to do that. Like Venmo's got like your full name. I don't know if I can even change that. Doesn't it? I think it shows your full name. Yo, thank you, DGAD, for upgrading to VIP Plus. That's the kind of stuff, man. I'm serious. That stuff helps just so immensely. We've been saying that for such a long time, and this is just a really good time to highlight that. Individual direct support is so key to what I do, because when this kind of thing happens, it's just like it's so out of the frame. We had no idea this was even possible. So I've spent the last 8 months of this year largely hurting myself, and I had no idea why. Nobody's at fault. Nobody was being malicious. It's just a stupid accident. A really, really stupid, costly accident, but thank you, Elohim, for 2 months. What about the new details on Bungie? It seems that Sony is taking over. Thank you, Reckless Gambit, for jumping back in as a member plus. I appreciate that so much. And thank you, Metal Matt, for upgrading to VIP. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, the contest between YouTube and Twitch is also like... You're lucky I like you. It's just very kind. Detonator with a VIP. Thank you so much for renewing your VIP. Very, very kind of you to do that. If you guys send a tip with the tip command, you'll have to tell me. I don't have it tied to alerts. It's all good. We'll figure this out. Yeah. I mean, I was getting nauseous this morning adding it up. What's going on with Gifted? I just got in. Pathalon, what currency do you use to gift? Because we've learned today that you can use other currencies to gift, and I get way less money from it, which is why we've realized this year I'm like 20 grand off, roughly. There's like $20,000 missing from revenue that I should have been getting, but the reason I'm not getting it is because the currency used to gift all those members has a conversion to USD where I get less, and I had no idea, which is why I said a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I have to stop gifting so much. It's not working. I'm in the red. I'm losing on this, and I couldn't figure out why. Narwaffle, thank you so much for upgrading to VIP Plus. I greatly appreciate it. I'm counting all these upgrades as 2, by the way. If you guys use that upgrade command, we are in dire need of upgrades right now. We did not know this was happening. We did not know this was possible, and we figured it out today. And I was doing the thing that you're supposed to do. I was not going onto the back end of the metrics and like combing over the pennies and the dollars and the numbers, because that'll make you crazy as a content creator. That's why this went unchecked. Today was the first day I've ever done that. Creature told me, he was like, stop doing that. Stop looking in the background. Don't do it. And I was like, okay. So all this year I've just been content. Well, I can tell when the numbers are going down and we're losing live, and I'm looking at the revenue and I'm like, something's not right. So today I started poking around. It took my 200 bomb from Twitch for you to see that. That's exactly right, Pork Pie. And thank you, Sorcerer, for upgrading to a VIP plus, man. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, Lono, here's a tip. Thank you so much, Petrov. And what is that? SEK. 20 SEK in USD. That's a $2 super chat. Thank you so much. And Lone Wolf, thanks so much for upgrading as well. You guys are going crazy with the upgrades. Really, really, the single greatest need right now is upgrades. If you are on a gifted member, please upgrade to member plus. Oh, buddy, do we need this. I don't care, FCAT. I don't care. I was transparent with the audience. I've always been transparent with the audience. Listen, think about it, FCAT. When people are supporting like this, and they think they're helping, and they think they're doing this thing, if the reality is that they weren't, it's good for folks to know. To be like, yeah, I can't gift back anymore, and here's why. We've learned a valuable lesson today. The public needs to know that. YouTubers need to know that. Twitch streamers need to know that. A lot of people do incentives like I do, where they gift back to their community. And you need to know that it could be hurting you, because it was hurting me. It's unfortunate, but hey, we got to order a coffee from Rygen. 3 bags of dark roast. Thank you so much. You served a good cause. You really did. Thank you, Zubair, for upgrading to a VIP plus. We're on a bit of an upgrade train right now, and upgrades count as 2. You guys are just skyrocketing that count, man. Thank you so much. $20 super chat from Sneaky Wolf. Time to upgrade is now, chat. It's not that expensive, he says. Thank you so much, Sneaky Wolf. Just learned something new on my creator journey. Yeah, you cannot base it off of the member count. You have to check the revenue to make sure that you're not having somebody, in this case, it was accidental. Somebody said in chat that people were doing it as a trollish thing. Wire Rope is saying the same thing happened on Twitch like 2 years ago. The sub prices on Twitch worldwide were tied to the dollar, but they shifted to localized pricing, and a Twitch sub in Turkey is like 20 cents. Jiminy Christmas. Okay. Well, we figured it out. It is a, yeah. It's a bummer. It is a bummer. It's a bit of a gut punch, but at least we figured it out. And you guys are generous and loyal, and you're here all the time. So this is something that we can rectify. Yo, Pathalon with a 10 bomb gets us a 795. Thank you so much. Oh, did Pathalon answer? And a $50 super chat says, hope this helps a little. I mean, it all helps. I mean, we really dug a hole unknowingly, and it's nobody's fault. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm a little frustrated with YouTube. But yeah, everything helps. Every super chat, every tip, every gifted, it all adds up and helps. Especially now that I'm going to back off on my gifting in return, because it was hurting me. I gifted 5 yesterday. It cost me like 20 UK pounds. That's approximately $27. Not sure the split. I get 70-30 no matter what. So 70-30 of that is great. because it's a little bit more. You gave me a little bit more money. Unfortunately, people were being crazy generous, and they were actively giving less, and they didn't know. Thank you, Pathalon, with another 5 bomb, and he gets us to 800. Unbelievable. It still is great. It still pays it forward. It still blesses other people. It still does. It still supports me. It still supports the community. Gifteds do not need to be like looked down on. We just have to handle my gifting back very, very differently. It's not just a YouTube issue. It's a Twitch issue as well, Hilly. It's both. You can do it on either platform. You can gift a bunch of members with a currency, and the YouTuber and the Twitch streamer has no idea. So that's why Twitch streamers and YouTubers should know, do not do incentives where you're gifting back, because you could actively be losing money. So Pathlon, you're doing it with USD? Oh my gosh. That's so generous, bro. We've learned today that some of the other heavy gifters are using a currency where I actively get less money. So, yeah. So I was hurting myself and I didn't know it. I'm US currency too. Well, I greatly appreciate that. No, you didn't do anything wrong, Pathalon. There is a currency that goes into USD, and then instead of, like, for example, if you do a 20 bomb, okay, I basically get 70% of that. That's how it works. It's a 70-30 split. So when you do a 20 bomb, I get $70, right? Well, every 25, I was gifting 5 back. So let's just do that, right? Every 25 members, this is what was happening. I thought every 25 members, I was getting $88 basically. And so I would do 25. I'm still netting. So I would do 25 to gift 5 back. And then I get a percentage of the back. I get a 70-30 split on that. So it's like, it was a way for me to bless others, but still not, I was still in the green. Does that make sense? If you're able to get me to the 25 members for less USD, I end up giving back and losing money or breaking even, and I'm not making anything. I basically cancel it out. Does that make sense? It's super complex. And it shouldn't be, but it is. You were actually spending 30% of those 5 gifted. That's correct. Yes. And that starts to add up when instead of getting the amount that I should be getting, I'm just getting less and less and less. It became, no. He's not gifting with Canadian. He's been gifting with, like, is it Argentinian money? Is it AE something? He's been gifting, he super chats with Canadian, but he's able to gift with, like, Argentinian. So is Behemoth. Behemoth was able to do the same thing today. Behemoth actively, my account's UAE, not CAD. Yes, so UAE is United Arab Emirates. So that's not Argentinian, that's UAE. Yeah, sorry. I thought it was Argentinian. So. So basically, Mash has been unknowingly squeezing the dickens out of me, and neither of us knew it. Like a big, giant boa constrictor, just lovingly hugging me. Like, I love your content so much. I'm like, thank you. Oh, gosh. Oh, frick. I was legit panicking, y'all. Me and Mash's 50 bombs are worth differently. Unfortunately, yes. This is true. Yes. A 50 bomb from you blesses 50 people, and a 50 bomb from him blesses 50 people. the amount of USD currency it creates is pretty different. Yep. Unfortunately. And I can't tell because I can't see. I can't see it. He's an Xbox guy, so you had it coming. Thank you, Dan, for renewing for 24 months. It may suck at the moment, but the good thing is you found out the issue, and this will help so much in the long run. It'll only get better from here. This is correct, and that's going to roll us over to our next milestone. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. And Wired Rope with 5 bomb over here on purple. Thank you so much. I literally said it the other day. I said it to Creature. I was like, thank God for Twitch. I was like, thank God for Twitch. If we wouldn't have gotten Twitch back, I'd be super worried. Well, what Twitch did is it shifted support to another platform. So MASH increased his support, and actively, I'm sitting here wondering, I'm like, what's going on? Like, the member count stayed the same, but the revenue went down because of the conversion, and I had no idea. I was just thinking, oh, this is the natural course of people moving support to purple. That's not what it was, unfortunately. You want Monopoly money? I can help. And another order of coffee from Kale. Thank you so much for getting the best of both worlds. My partner manager just got back to me. Typically, this is due to members being outside the U.S. due to the currency rates. I'll double check with the team to make sure that's the case here. Thanks. Thank you, Zyber, for a 5 bomb. Welcome back. Oh, not welcome back. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really, really do. Listen, y'all. This is Operation... Operation Fix the Bank Error, basically. You have to laugh, otherwise you'll cry. It's a lot of money. I was like, what is happening? We are in trouble. Oh, chat. Oh, gosh. Thank you for 3 months and using your Prime over here, Sean. I greatly appreciate it. And you guys know, like, this is absolutely not something I want to talk about. But I was literally in crisis mode. I was like, I've got to just say, like, something's wrong, something's going on. And then, sure enough, a couple people in chat were like, oh, this is a known issue. This is a known issue. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. No. MASH should not feel bad. He should not feel bad. My question is, I can't upgrade my subscription. It's actually really difficult to upgrade. There's an upgrade command, and you can try to follow the prompts. The best way to try to upgrade is through a browser. Don't try to do it through an app. If you try to do it through an app, it's super weird. So MASH gifted 46 million members, and you made negative 20 grand. Well, that's what I was doing, Hilly. I went back all the way to January of this year, and I'm like, there's like 20 grand missing. I was like, what's going on? Like, literally, like $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 a month where I'm like, where is the money? Well, what's happening is I'm just looking at the raw member number. I have no idea the amount of revenue that it took to generate that member number, because I was assuming that when someone's gifting, they have to spend it in the USD. I didn't know that that you could do this. I had no idea. So, yeah. I think that's one of the reasons people were accusing me of, like, being really wealthy and being ungrateful. But it was like, because they're looking at the raw number too, and they're thinking, this guy's filthy rich. Well, yes, of course. If I had an extra 20 grand right now, I would be thinking, we can just do whatever the frick we want. But the fact of the matter is the actual member total is not indicative of the revenue, which is really unfortunate. It kind of leaves them, it leaves the YouTuber in the dark a little bit. You're like, oh, I thought we were killing it. Harbinger with $1 super chat, and then Jason West with 28 months. NorCal Garbage Man here. I'm just glad you figured it out. Hopefully it brings some sense and relief. It is a mixture of relief and frustration. Like, I'm relieved to figure out, like, okay, we don't actually suck. Something on the back end wasn't properly communicating this to us, and now we know. So I feel relief, but I also am like, oh, well, we still kind of need these things to go up. How do we get them to go up? You keep saying it's only $1 to upgrade, but YouTube has no subs option. Just letting you know. It just prompts to continue. So wait, it doesn't have you just do the proration? I had somebody send me a screenshot, and they just paid the proration difference, Zyber, when they upgraded. Are you not gifting anymore? We'll have to reassess when I gift and how, because it was actively hurting me. What did we figure out? Stonespire, we figured out that if people are using UAE currency, United Arab Emirates currency, they can buy a lot of members for a lot less USD, and I had no idea. So MASH would go crazy, I would gift in response, and I would be actively like making almost no money or losing money. That's why we were like, oh, there's missing revenue. My partner manager got back to me and said that's often because you have members outside of the US and you don't make the same amount of currency per member. So when you have guys like Behemoth and MASH using UAE currency, they're maintaining the same member number that we've had for such a long time, but my revenue is actively going down, and I had no idea why. The other problem with it is that you're actively and very easily giving lots of people every month a very, very like cheap version of the membership. Like, it's less money, and it's like, well, now why would you ever upgrade, right? We've got thousands of people every month that are getting those gifteds, and so, you know, when I'm like, oh, it's $6 a month, it's $6 a month. But when like MASH can be like, yeah, here's 50, here's a 50 bomb, here's a 50 bomb, here's a 50 bomb. Those people are probably never going to do that. So, we'll have to put our heads together, you know, in green room. I'll put my head together with Creature and just kind of think through, what do we do with this? You know, do we do something else with the member goal? Like, hey, let's set the goal. Awesome, cool. MASH and others can make the number go up, and it's like fun, and we celebrate it. But do we need to like change? If I'm not going to be gifting back because it's actually hurtful for me to do that. Do we do something else as an incentive? I just don't know. We'll have to think about it. We'll have to brainstorm. I knew Twitch would win in a fair fight. Gifting back was more cannibalistic than originally thought. Yeah. Yep. Friday stream is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Interesting use case. If online vendors base payment on where your banking institution's home region is versus where you actually live, how does point of sale work? Do you have the bounty board? They're actively looking into why I never have any bounties on the bounty board. They escalated it because they couldn't figure it out. All right, I'm going to change stream elements to only show me tips. So if anybody tips, I'll see it. You can use the tip command, and you can bypass either platform if you prefer. 6% of the dollar amount. $1.50 per member. How many members you owe the chat? 20 members. Yeah, I don't want... Making it a cold, hard equation like that, like, I don't know. We'll think about it. That's just so not what the spirit of that was. That's odd. My bounty board has a mission from TK Baja. Yeah. The spirit of it was like to celebrate and be like, nice job. Yeah, let's go. Boo. Yeah, woo. Not like, all right, boys, I crunched the numbers from yesterday and I owe you. I got my little ledger out here. Like, that's not that's not nearly as exciting as what we were doing. Oh, yeah, that's not bad at all, Wired Rope. Stream Elements takes like $3 from every 100. It's like a 97.3. Yeah. So, if anybody would like to, contribute to rectifying the last 8 months, use the tip command, please. Wired Rope says, don't super chat, use tip. I mean, that Wired Rope is saying that, not me. That's his recommendation. Yeah. Each goal a song. No, the songs are too disruptive. Drop that Cash App. I think you can use that tipping thing. Aren't there a variety of ways to tip? It's not letting me do it. Is it because you can't tip to yourself? I don't see a way to press the button. I can just do anonymous. There's no way to hit submit. I'm on that page. There's no button. Do you know why it's doing that, Rope? What happened? Just got on Battlefield? The tip link isn't working. There's no way to submit the tip. Pause. I wish there was something to do. I'm completely shocked at this revelation. There's no way to finish tipping on the site. Yeah, like I went incognito and there's like no way to do it. Here, hang on, tipping settings. Connect with a payment method. Oh, it's saying tipping's not set up. Hang on. Add more payment methods. Hang on. Do you have to add these other payment methods? It's looking like the tipping settings is only letting people do it with PayPal or something. Oh, I'm on PayPal Legacy. Maybe I need to connect the new. I think that might be what it was. It was like a really, really old setting, maybe. It's also saying I need to set up some new account or something. Okay, I'm connected with PayPal. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand. I can't get it to work. Page settings. Require viewers to log in off. Minimum amount, suggested amount. Payment providers. SE Pay is the best way to receive tips via credit cards and local payment methods while paying the lowest fees. Maybe because I don't have... Super Chat doesn't work with mobile. Yeah, the tipping thing's not working. Isn't there a way to do it with PayPal? Isn't there a way to, like, create a link? Hang on. Oh, it says you can't send money to yourself. Okay, hang on. Hang on, let me ask the community reps. Hang on. I can't figure out why it won't let me do it. Okay, hang on. Yes. Yep, I got it. Fuzzy, did it give you any of my personal info? Okay. What payment? Hang on. I think we have a solution. Okay. Okay. You don't want my feet pics? I don't think I would want my own feet pics. Okay. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, there we go. We now have a way to tip directly. You can use a PayPal or a credit card. Super chatting for mobile. Thank you, Alex, for the 5 spot. Jason West with 28 months is... I already read that. I'm sorry. Garrett Green with a member plus. Welcome back, Garrett Green. Thank you guys so much. And a $5 farty bomb from Matt. Thank you so much, Matt. Biggie says, so Twitch been winning all along. Oh. Okay. Now, if you guys use that command, I don't know if you send a message if I'll get the message. I'll have to check my email. Somebody did $1, and it says, I don't know who this is. I mean, I see your name. Oh, message, test from Lone Wolf. Thank you. Yep, there's a message there. Yeah. So you guys will want to put in a message with your username. Yep, I got it, Lone Wolf. Okay, that's going to be the best way to, rectify this problem to a certain degree. Yeah. Did you see Sony is shifting focus to moving away from hardware-centric focus? Yeah, I would need to look at more of the quotation there. Are they talking about within this gen? Are they talking about Sony as a whole? Or are they talking about PlayStation? Because it's saying here that's Sony Senior Vice President. We're moving away from a hardware-centric business model. So are they speaking about PlayStation, or are they speaking about Sony as a whole? Because Sony as a whole is leveraging and wanting to get into stuff with anime, stuff with movies. They bought some company a while ago to help with, I think with streaming compression or something. So I'm wondering... Or is Sony saying that as Sony? Or is he saying, no, PlayStation is moving away from being hardware-centric? He says, in the gaming business, we are moving away from a hardware-centric business model more to a platform business model that expands the community and increases engagement. Okay, my other question would then be, is that within the context of the fact that we're halfway through this gen and that's what you do? When you're in the second half of the gen, you shift from being hardware-centric to then platform-centric because you're trying to expand and increase revenue from every MAU. Or are they quite literally saying we're no longer going to be hardware-centric, which doesn't make any sense to me given their investments with AMD and what Mark Cerny's been saying? It's like, that feels very hardware-centric to me. Like even Herman Hulst saying, like, oh yeah, we put those games over there in the hopes that they come over here and get this. That's all centering around the console. If they completely move away from that, I'm very confused as to why they'd be investing so much in Project Amethyst and machine learning and everything that Mark Cerny has been saying. Probably for this gen. Yeah, like I need to know, is the context of what he's saying like this is a permanent change, or is he saying like, and somebody just tipped through PayPal. Thank you so much, Mile High, for the $20 tip. I greatly appreciate that. That is so, so generous. If you guys want to support the channel right now, outside of gifted super chats, use that tip command. We're going to kind of hammer away at that for the rest of this month. Yeah. We've discovered a bit of an error that we were making. We were unaware of something. You're able to gift members with other currencies. I don't see the currency, so I don't know. I was actively making a lot less money from some of the bigger gifted bombs, and so we're obviously trying to course correct a little bit. So I'll no longer be able to gift every five every 25. That was actively hurting me, and now we know why. So we're going to just shift focus a little bit. We'll still do Friday nights. We'll still celebrate the milestones. We'll obviously still, Gifted still supports me and it still supports the community, but I'm going to have to kind of change how I respond to hitting those milestones. So Battlefield is live now. I need to get my controller and see if we can't get into queue, and then we'll play for a little bit. I forgot to bring the controller in. The PlayStation's already in here and set up and plugged in. If you guys send a tip, let me know. I'll pull it up. I'll read the message. I know it's not quite as celebratory as like in the chat with the super chats and the gifted bombs. Like, I understand that's, you know, a little less exciting, but yeah. You've been playing, you need 100 revives. Yeah. Beta's open right now for people that got in. I'll switch directories and you guys can get drops off of me. We'll see if there's any updates for it. It doesn't look like it. You've had no issues all morning? Okay. Yeah, it seems they really properly prepared for demand here. I think they anticipated like a lot of people. Yeah. Can you pin the donation link at the top of the chat? Yes, I can do that. There we go. I think I just got like right in. I didn't even have to wait. Wait, let's do this. There you go. What drops are available? Hang on, I gotta schedule the stream on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Oh. All right, I'm getting the gameplay stream set up. And when you guys support gameplay, it's super, super helpful for what I do. Also, right now, we are really focusing on using that tip link and gifteds as well as super chats. But really, that tip link is the key to just a big push for that right now. Something got delivered. Okay, thank you. So let people know in chat if people are wondering why. You can let them know. I don't want to have to like continue to like revisit it and re-explain it. Okay, edit stream info. Okay. Battlefield 6 directory. I should have drops enabled. Drops, as I drop and die a lot, is what I titled the stream. Okay. Okay. All right. Twitch has you in just chatting. You might have to refresh. I see myself in Battlefield 6 now. All right, the link is in chat for you YouTube guys. Thank you so much for checking out this video. This is going to be me diving into the Battlefield 6 beta. So this will be Battlefield 6 gameplay. We are very excited to try it out for the first time ever. I am not a super strong player in these games, but I loved Battlefield 4 way back in the day, so I'm going to be giving this a go. If you like this video, hit subscribe and the bell button. That way you don't miss out on my content. I do talk shows all of the time. And I'm going to set up redirect on that previous stream that we were doing. Just kind of doing a waiting room. Just kind of hanging out, jawing, talking, and getting ready to come over and do this. I'm going to end that one and redirect us over. I'll make sure